787.
787 departure frequency 95 will be 1257.
25-7, thanks.
Hey everybody, welcome back to SciFi And Friends. And on a very rainy, cold, well it's not even really cold, just rainy and wet Monday afternoon. Let's see, a couple of quick announcements. I did get the website up. It's a WordPress theme. Posted the first blog post, but obviously my first plan was to create a whole smorgasbord of the podcast, the reel for the Infinite Productions, the blog and everything on one website, and that got a little bit too ambitious, so I just kind of cut it up into 3 different websites, and that way I can produce one and then begin to work on the next one and produce that one, and not be so overwhelmed that I can't do podcasts and I can't do blog posts and I can't do videos. So at least one of the 3 are complete, ready to go, and go check it out at coltoncipher.com. Besides that, the Patreon page is up and going for SciFi And Friends. If you want to make any donations, that'd be greatly appreciated. This equipment is not, it's expensive.
It's true.
It's true. And sometimes it breaks. Besides that, I think you guys know everything. You're probably just ready to listen to this freaking thing. My guest today is a good friend, a good coworker. He's an artist, a musician. He produces his own music, writes his own lyrics. He's been doing some shows with merch. That's how you make your money.
It is. Shameless plug.
Yes. Yeah, I knew it. I hope you would. I thought about wearing mine, but when I saw you wearing yours, I was like, I'll just leave it there.
Right.
Please welcome to the podcast, Levi Bowman.
Cheers.
Bowman, right?
Bowman, yeah. McGahee, if just depending on the circumstances, you know me at.
Yes, right. I like Bowman because I'm an archer,
Mm-hmm.
and it's cool. But McGahee sounds Irish?
Yeah, super Irish.
Yeah, very Irish. So, yes. We had a little bit of trouble getting everything going, but it's going now.
Yeah, we're on track.
Yeah, you got a quick piss and a quick smoke in, so
Right.
you're ready to chit-chat?
Yeah.
Nice, dude. So, I guess we were kind of talking about should we have a topic or something, and I was kind of mentioning that these are just back and forth conversations and topics kind of organically come about. But really, you have a really interesting story, kind of like where you came from, being raised locally, and then kind of branching out a little bit towards Yellowstone and kind of. Did you ever live out in California?
No, but my family's from Bakersfield.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you got some connections out west, and I mean, a lot of that is what created your artistic and musical background. Some of those adventures and
Yeah,
whatnot.
for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. I mean, I started playing music when I was I guess I've always played music. I've always been a singer and an artist in that way since I was a little kid. Like, I remember listening to, 90s country growing up a lot and bluegrass and singing in the car and knowing that it was something that I was going to do forever because my mom's friends and, like, family members would have me just sing a cappella for them. So that was pretty cool, and it, encouraged me to keep going with it.
Yeah.
But I think I actually started writing my own songs and playing them just as a singer when I was about 18.
Okay.
There was a little bar called the Gearhead Grill in a little hometown I'm from, Neosho. Just a nice little blues place where you can get a sweet cheeseburger. I think I played 2 songs the first night, 1 original, 1 cover, and that's where it kind of all began. And from there, I learned that there were a lot of seasoned musicians around. We won't say old, we'll say seasoned.
Right.
They're well-aged.
Seasons is nice and respectful.
Right. Because they taught me a lot. They taught me a lot about song structure and, like, once you get a crowd, don't let them go. Like how to play to a crowd and crowd work and things like that. So that was very interesting. Played music around for about 16 years now.
Oh, wow.
Started in Neosho, went up to Joplin, lived in Joplin about 10 years.
Hey, pull that mic right up.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah, it can go with you anywhere, like if you want to lean back or if you really want to get in my face and be like, Black Panther was amazing.
Right? Wakanda forever.
Whoa! I like that word, Wakanda.
Right? There's a lot of fun words in it.
Yeah, like Wakanda and
Like Wakanda and Shuri.
is it like their language? That's where they came from. Right?
Yeah,
it's like
yeah.
their
Wakanda is
kingdom.
the actual kingdom where they're from, yeah.
Wakanda.
In Africa.
Yeah.
But to roll back to the point.
Yep.
Living in Joplin, got a little place above a blues bar. Worked down in a blues bar for a long time. Ran their kitchen there. Got even more connected with the scene. Went on tour with a band of mine called Stereo Foot Stomp. Was the Cali Coast tour of 2012.
Nice.
It was super fun. I didn't make a lot of money, but I came back with a lot of great stories, and I was only like $200 down. So,
dude, that's pretty good. How
definitely
long was
a
the
win.
tour?
3 weeks.
Okay. Yeah.
3 weeks.
A $200 3-week tour. I mean, that's
from where exactly. Like it cost me $200 at the end of the day when I got back into town.
that's a bar tab for you sometimes.
Yeah,
You know?
I've had bigger bar tabs
Yes.
than that.
Yeah.
Not in a few years, but yeah, shots can get carried out of hand sometimes when you're having a good time.
Yes. Yes.
Start ordering 15 shots at a time.
Jesus.
And your tab just starts going up.
Not all for yourself.
No.
They're all mine.
Yeah, so that was cool. We had a lot of fun out there. We went from Venice Beach to San Francisco.
Okay.
So I got to go up the one highway up there and get to see the coast.
Good old PCH.
Right? And to see, like, I remember driving down that highway stuffed in the back of a Camaro.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because we're geniuses, and we thought a Camaro would be a great car to rent. And
What year was that?
2012.
Okay.
The Camaro was probably, I don't know, maybe the year or so before or something.
Okay. So
I just remember
newer body style.
being in the back with stacks and stacks of PAs and guitars on top of me, and only
Right.
2 people could fit in front.
Right.
And so I rode for about 2 hours like that.
Dude, that PCH, especially northern PCH, is like
Right?
back and forth and back and forth. You know, that coastline's not very straight.
Right? But it's a good drive. It's a good drive, especially if you've never taken that drive.
Yes.
I remember looking out to my right the whole way and seeing the mission bells
Okay.
and finally understanding what a mission bell was from Hotel California by the Eagles.
What's a mission bell?
A mission bell? It's used to be the mission line that they would take up that highway to go to the different churches.
Okay.
And there are bells still in those areas so that they could ring them so they would know where other people were on the trail.
Oh. Are they really big?
I mean, they probably stand as tall as me and they hang.
Oh, okay.
And there's just a metal bell,
I'm going to look one up.
right?
But so they were like periodically like placed out.
Yeah. Because, sound trouble's forever out there.
There's nothing out there.
There's not a lot to stop it,
There's a song called Mission Bells. They kind of look like this?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I guess Mission
'cause
Bells.
the missions, along
Right. Up on PCH. Were there whole things like that?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Whole missions, I guess is what you'd call them. Just
Yeah. I remember we were going up to Los Alamos
cool.
by San Luis Obispo, up in that area.
Uh-huh.
And we played at this place called the Union Hotel. If you ever get to
perfect.
check out the Union Hotel, it is a trip. We were there for 3 days. They actually gave us separate rooms
Oh wow.
for 3 days. And
for-
it's, yeah.
Like 4 or 5 people or
No, it's 2 of us on
Oh,
the
just the
floor.
2, okay.
Yeah, a 12-string acoustic player and a 6-string acoustic player, me.
separate rooms. You're like,
Right?
thank God.
I'd been fucking sleeping in the shittiest hotels with this asshole
Right.
for like 2 weeks. It was beautiful. Beautiful.
You're like, I love you, but bye.
It's the actual hotel where they shot the video for Say, Say, Say,
Okay.
Michael Jackson and Paul McCartney.
Oh wow.
And I got to stay in the room that Paul McCartney is
No shit.
in the video.
You got some of that magic on you.
I tried to. I actually went out and smoked a joint on the back stairs that he runs down to escape in the video.
Oh, wow.
And I had Noah take a picture of me running down him.
Nice. It's almost like walking across the street like the Beatles. Like you try to encapsulate a little bit of that moment in
Right.
in your own photo.
Yeah. Yeah, and it was just this really cool place, like straight out saloon. Swinging doors when you come in.
That's cool.
So I went to sleep the first night we got there because we got there late. I wake up the next morning to gunshots And I just roll out of bed to the floor. And I'm like, wait a minute. You're on the second floor.
Yeah.
And I look out the window, and they're having an Old West shootout.
What?
It is, I guess, it was their, we were there to play their old time days.
Oh, okay.
Great celebration, dancing horses, all kinds of great stuff.
Okay.
But it was just surreal to hear shots hit the floor, jump up, peek out, and actually see cowboys, dueling in the streets.
Right.
I was like, wow, I guess I got to put pants on and start this day.
That's like a real, that really happened to somebody,
Yeah,
like they
right?
went to the brothel and they're waking up and they
Like,
roll out.
is this how life used to be?
Yeah, exactly. I guess you just smoke your cigarette and drink your cup of coffee and watch the guys duel it out. They're drunk from the night before.
Yeah. Well, they're dueling again.
Yeah. God damn it, Kevin. Don't get your head blown off.
Well, like used to be, public executions and things. And,
True.
in the past were giant, they pull crowds from everywhere.
Yeah, right. It was just it was almost like what would you, I guess it would kind of be analogous to like a parade today, like.
I guess.
There's a hanging,
Right.
Do you want to go watch?
Like, no.
I mean, I wouldn't want to go watch.
Right?
Well, no, I wouldn't go watch.
Right.
But I mean, back in the day, what else did you do? You just
I guess there just wasn't anything to do.
just cleaning up cow shit all the time, or
I bet there wasn't a lot of reasons for everyone to get together.
true.
And if everyone's going to be there, why not be there
Would
back
you
in the day?
would you go if you knew the person? Like if it was like Aubrey
Absolutely.
and Aubrey.
Absolutely. I would be there as, just like with my fist up. Just like.
Yeah, like that changes it because like back in the day, those towns were everyone knew everybody,
Right?
And there were a couple people traveling through, but they knew you pretty quickly. You go to the saloon. Who are you? I'm Levi. What do you do? Like, even if you were lying, they at least had some story.
I'm sure it's relatively the same way around your town, right?
Most
This
part.
is a pretty small town, especially when you were growing up,
Yeah, absolutely.
right? Like,
yeah.
Neosho had 12,000 people,
Right,
when I was
right.
growing up, to everyone. And then I started bartending as soon as I was 21.
Then you know
at
a
like
lot of
the
people.
only place that served decent drinks in town.
Right.
So I knew everyone.
And a lot of stuff. When we have a couple of drinks, who knows what what you're gonna
Right?
start talking about.
Yeah, well, a good bartender's job is to hear everything and nothing all at once.
Ah, that's nice. That's like some quantum physics type
Right.
stuff. I mean, today, yeah, it operates the same way with like cars. They just travel so far so fast,
Mm-hmm.
Like back in the day, if you
it would
got
take
on horse,
forever.
yeah, I mean, you could probably bust town, but like if you shot someone's head off, they would probably find it pretty quickly and be like, he went west, and it's like, well, he's gonna be in this direction. At some point, we'll catch him. Like you can't really go that far. But with cars, good God, you could be in Florida by tonight.
Yeah, exactly.
If you really pushed it hard. But yeah, so where did we go from there?
I don't know.
Oh, you were having a good old shootout saloon. You woke up to a shootout.
We'll wrap back to that.
Yeah.
So we played 3 shows that day. One of the and it was crazy because it was like everyone in town was there.
Yeah.
That town probably had maybe 5,000 people in it.
Okay, well, that's still cool. That's a really good turnout.
It had a giant flag in the center of town that went straight up, and I knew when I was drunk at night to just look back for that flag, and it would take me to the middle of town.
That's smart.
It's-
That's your orientation.
Yeah.
Your North Star.
So like it's the only place I was ever playing where a guy walks in, takes off his guns, lays them on the counter in front of me while I'm playing, and goes, "Watch my sidearms while I take a piss, boys."
You're like, yes, sir.
I was like, "Well, here's a good-hearted woman."
Yeah.
But Clayton Jennings. Cheers to you, brother.
Yeah. So it was kind of like a Civil War reenactment. They were just kind of.
Yeah, they actually had a guy dressed as Lincoln that gave
they actually had a Civil War reenactment.
Yeah, they had tents and a whole everything set up back there.
That shit's crazy.
It was nuts.
A lot of places do that. They just all get together. Like people live for it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's
People getting in fights over are the buttons authentic on your outfit,
Right, exactly.
Like they get into it.
I forgot about that. Yeah.
My uncles would do these things called rendezvous, and it's where you would dress like frontiermen, go and throw tomahawks and knives and drink booze that everybody made, and just have a good time.
That's a genius. I almost didn't want to say it, but no one listens to this podcast. That's a genius name for a bar with axe throwing and like make it a lodge,
Right?
Call it the Rendezvous.
The rendezvous,
I'm doing it.
right?
So where would he do that?
It was actually around Seneca in that area.
This area?
Yeah, this area,
Oh,
man.
cool.
Yeah, it would be
Did
great.
he do
like,
fur trapping and stuff like that? Or-
yeah. My
Somebody did.
hillbillies, you know, like one of my uncles is 6'4" and can walk around and tell you everything about every plant.
Oh, cool.
That you see.
Yeah.
You've seen my walking staff.
Mm-hmm.
He's the same uncle that did that walking
Oh, okay.
staff. You know, went out and pulled out a young cedar by the roots and then cleaned the roots up and
Right.
hand whittled it.
Did he dip it in anything to make the roots hard, or do they just harden by themselves?
They harden by themselves.
Oh, cool. That's what. And then you flip it
But
up.
they are fragile. So that's why you flip it up.
Right. You
know.
don't fight Balrogs with them.
Right. You know, you're not going after the demigorgon. with
Good.
it.
I mean, well, if you had to, you probably could. But what? How did he get that sort of training? Did he go to military or?
Yeah, he did 2 tours in Vietnam. All my uncles were in the military. My dad too.
Okay.
But he just my family are kind of gypsies. I'm the first generation to not be a carnival worker.
I remember you said that.
Yeah. First person to graduate high school
Whoa.
in 2 generations.
Right.
Because I'm the oldest of the grandchildren.
Okay.
But
None of the other grandchildren.
yeah, they did,
Oh.
but I did it first.
Oh, okay.
Because
I
I'm the
gotcha.
oldest.
Right.
And then they followed suit. The next
Right.
2 years.
They saw the good example
Right.
of Vi.
Right. Well, I mean, fucking go to school. It's not hard.
Yeah.
Just go to school. And
Right.
I just needed to get away from my home life. Not that I had a bad home life.
Mm-hmm.
I just felt out of place in my home life because, I was raised very religious, and I realized at a very young age that it wasn't for me. And so the organization I was in, excommunicated me from it. And so I grew up not being able to talk to my mom's friends when they'd come over to the house.
Oh wow.
Or be even acknowledged that I was there.
What sect is that?
Jehovah's Witness.
Oh, okay. Yeah, they're pretty.
And I'm not bashing
Yeah.
religion at all. I'm saying, if that's for you, that's for you. And that's
Right,
great. My
right.
mom's still very religious, very spiritual. And I support that 100%.
The Jehovah's Witnesses they're very disciplined.
Yes.
Their rules are clear cut, and just like that, if they decide that you're out, you are fucking out.
Yeah.
There's no question. It's just
Yeah.
he's gone. That's a lot like Scientology. You're not even. They said that mother who was in deep. I forget the levels, but her daughter left. And when the daughter would try to talk to the mother, I mean, it was she didn't even know her. The mother didn't even acknowledge that this was her own freaking daughter. I'm
Right,
not
and,
saying that Jehovah's Witness does that.
No.
That's
Yeah,
Scientology.
I mean, it does happen. It does happen because everyone can take everything to extremes.
Mm-hmm.
Does everyone in the religion do that? Probably not. You
Right.
know?
Yeah.
Absolutely not. There's lots of
Right.
great people in lots of different religions.
Yeah.
But it's just, it becomes such there's no gray area. And I live in gray area.
Yeah.
To me, it's not a matter of there's right and there's wrong, and there's right and wrong at the different times,
Right. Yeah. The world is much more complicated than, don't do this and don't do that.
Exactly.
A lot of the time. Now there are clear cut rules, don't kill anybody. But then it comes down to do you kill the person that's going to kill your mom?
That's that's why I've always been a fan of Batman.
Yeah.
You have the Superman Batman,
Right.
the pairing there.
Right.
It's Superman, black and white.
Mm-hmm.
Black and white, right and wrong, Boy Scout.
Yeah.
Batman, there's some gray area there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And he understands that sometimes to defeat a beast, you must become a beast yourself.
Yeah, right. That's like the Nietzsche's quote. I had it.
There's
It
a
was
Lord Buckley quote like that. too.
Don't cast out the demons within you, lest you cast out one of the greatest parts of you. I totally botched it, but something like that. Least you cast out the dragons. That's, and it goes back to Carl Jung's The Shadow, integrating the shadow self.
Yeah.
Until you do that, until you integrate the dark side of yourself, you're only half, or maybe almost half a person.
Yeah. You have to accept the sweet with the sour.
Yes. That's the whole yin yang, the whole balance of life, and darkness and light.
Yeah, there's no light without darkness. There's no darkness without light.
Yeah.
And
And I think that's why Batman's a lot more popular than Superman, because Superman just kind of became a demigod at some point, or almost
Right,
became
he
a
is
god.
a god.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
mean-
exactly. He's juggling planets, and it's
Yeah.
like, oh well, what darkness is ever gonna take him over.
Exactly. Like,
So.
where's the relatable?
No, there's not.
Yeah.
There's not.
It's our faults that make us relate with each other.
Right.
If someone's perfect, it's hard to relate with that.
You can't.
No one's perfect.
You can't relate, and then it's not even exciting or anything to follow like what they do. It's like, okay, Superman's in this quandary, like, oh, what's gonna happen? He'll beat it or he'll win it. Batman might not.
He might not,
or he might break one of his rules, like, hey, you gotta save this person, but the only thing to do is with a pistol over there, and so then it makes it interesting. It's like, oh, how is he going to choose? And then we can reflect on that choice as, well, would I have made that choice or would I have done this choice? And then, the storytellers get to pick how the outcome it plays out.
Yeah, it's a lot more fun to write for, I'm sure.
Yeah,
because there's sometimes he can't save him.
Yes.
Like when the Robin dies, in Death in the Family, or when Barbara Gordon gets shot in the spine and paralyzed in what was that, The Killing Joke, I believe. So those are, I've always found, like, the psychoanalysis of Batman.
Right. Much more interesting.
Yeah, because it's like, are there these villains because there are these villains, or are there these villains because there's this hero?
I always wondered that with ideologies, especially political ideologies. Like, is there like this quack? Hear me closely, guys. Is there like a quack job feminist craziness, like alt? No, it's not alt right, but like,
choose your words carefully.
I know I'm not attacking feminist altogether.
No, not at all.
Just just the part that's very vocal, very loud, and just kind of like spun out because there is this like alt right patriarchal.
Yeah,
craziness.
Yeah, there's an extremist on both sides now.
Exactly. Now, do those feed each other? Like, do they both exist because one exists and they feed each other? And until, like, would one not exist if the other didn't? That whole thing.
Right.
That was somewhat articulate.
Right. I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
And I understand the overbearingness of that certain type.
Yeah. Right.
But that's
on
with
both
anything.
sides.
That's with anything. That's with a football fan. That's too much of a football fan.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Like, if you don't like the Chiefs, fuck you. And I'm like, I'm not saying I don't like the Chiefs.
Right.
And you should be able to like the Chiefs all you want.
Right.
But I don't have to like the Chiefs.
Right. Right.
And that's like almost, like blasphemy around here in this area, at least.
Oh, big time. Yeah, and I think maybe because they get wrapped up, their identity gets wrapped up with that thing. Because I remember when I was
like it represents them.
Yeah, like a piece of them, and it's actually in their speech when they're like, we lost the game.
Yeah,
we lost the game.
Were you on the team?
Yeah, exactly.
But I do the same thing with the Cardinals in baseball,
and I did with the Ravens. But I mean, I was so hyped up in the Ravens that if they lost, that week was fucked. Until next Sunday, where it was like, here's a chance to make my week renewed, And I don't really understand. I've never really ruminated on it much, but I don't really understand why people or myself did that. I guess it's because maybe you don't have a very strong identity in something, so you're looking for identity. Plus, sports do give you like a family type feel, because like when you're out and you see someone wearing your garb, you're like, oh shit, Cardinals!
Right? Yeah. You yell it out. out.
Yes. So maybe that's why it is, but
I always like it when you just get the look.
Yeah.
Like across the bar, like, that's right.
Yeah. I'm with you.
You and me, bro.
If it all goes down, I'll be with you. At least you hope so.
Right? Yeah. Being a musician is not like that. It's like, we expect when you're young, everyone tries to get you to compete with each other. And especially in like a small town and stuff, you cannot do that. You can't.
Like you're talking about like playoffs,
like battles of bands and things like that. And you know what battles of bands do?
Right.
They make money for the place having a battle of the band.
Right. Those are pretty fun.
Not for the musicians.
No, because it's more of a competition rather than...
Exactly. Music shouldn't be art shouldn't be a competition.
Right.
Like an award, yes, that's cool. But I mean, especially like local artists should not have to compete with each other. They should support each other. And but it's that family vibe,
Yeah.
But, if everything goes down and there's other musicians there, I'm definitely not always with them.
Yeah. Yeah, right.
I'm like, hey, I'll be right there.
Fend for yourself.
Right?
Do you think that the competition stems from like just the capitalist society that we kind of live, that we do live in. Because, you see all these TV shows, you see like The Voice, and you see America's Got Talent. Like those are competition shows, and a lot of those are based on artistic skill. Almost all of them are singing and whatnot. America's Got Talent's got like dancers and stuff too. But once again, it's like an artistic type of expression. Do you think that's maybe where it comes from? It's kind of like who's the best rather than just enjoying across the board?
Like, the best is a very, bold term. Like what one person thinks is the best, like what's cool.
Yeah.
You're cool too in my head.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's someone out there probably within a mile that thinks we're not cool.
Probably.
Or, like.
Probably not.
Just that, not to toot our own horn, but beep, beep, motherfucker.
Right.
It's all subjective. Well, like we were talking about villains and like how you need a villain that you can like.
Right.
Because villain is just all a matter of perception.
Yes.
And I always think the best villains are the ones that truly believe that they're not the villains.
Right.
They believe in what they're doing. And they don't understand why you don't think that way.
Right. They think you're the bad guy.
Exactly. Like who decides who the bad guy is?
Yeah. Well, that's the whole, man, here comes another quote. The quote, as far as, I'm not even going to try to, but it's whoever writes history writes it about himself. I'm sorry. I apologize. But anyway, I don't really know what the quote was, but I remember the meaning. Basically, like whoever won the wars, whoever pens history gets to put it in their POV, and then from then on, it gets put into the textbooks or it gets put into the schools or whatever it is in that sort of time and period, to where that's what you get taught. So it's like, the Japanese were freaking evil in our past wars. Well, it's like.
And Russia was always the bad guy in the 80s and 90s.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Because
the Cold War.
Because we wrote the history books, but then there's this whole other side of the story. Like, well, wait a minute. Were we the good guys? And I'm not saying America wasn't, because I live here and everything, but it's never black and white.
I'm saying we haven't always been the good guys.
No,
you know what I mean?
I don't think you can be.
There's no way. There's no way to.
Yeah, you can't be.
And if you can't accept that, then there's a flaw there too.
Right. That a naivety. Yeah, just a closed-minded outlook on the complexity of what a superpower country is. Like,
or just anything.
It's just impossible.
Anybody, like even when I was like working in the kitchen and I would talk to a kid straight out of culinary school.
Yeah.
I'd be like, what you got to do is just step back every once in a while and think, well, maybe I don't know everything.
Right.
Because you can learn from anyone.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter who they are, what you think of them. You can pick things up from anyone, and you can, if you're not getting better or you're getting worse, if you're not, increasing your knowledge, you're decreasing your knowledge.
Right. Either in jiu-jitsu we say you're learning or you're losing. No, dude, I don't know what's going on with my quotes today, but you're either winning or you're learning. You're never losing.
No.
You win the match, that's great, but if you lose, you're learning.
You learn a lot more when you lose.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? It's like when
it's hard.
When you have a boss that does everything wrong, you're learning a lot of what not to do.
Yeah.
You didn't have a few bad bosses. You had bad bosses that taught you what not to do.
Yeah.
Or like, what was the? I was going to try to quote something. I was going to try to quote something.
Go for it.
Right.
I'm 0 for 3.
I was talking about when they were creating the light bulb.
Okay.
And he had done it a number of times, and it's like, why did you not give up? He's like, well, I didn't. He's like, I didn't I didn't fail that many times. I just learned that many times how to not make a light bulb.
That it didn't work. Yeah, exactly. It's like a hard way to learn, but it's very effective.
It is effective because it sticks with you.
Yeah. Especially with the bad leaders. Like, if you have bad leaders, and I was talking to Kelsey about this a couple weeks ago. Like, when she was, like, her past job, she had some, like, really bad leaders. And at the time, especially when you're young like that, you just kind of think this is how everything is. Because you've only had 1 or 2 jobs. So you don't have anything to kind of reference. But after all these years, we went to California, she moves back. Then she gets this job as a graphic designer. And the Brandy, the one that runs Limelight, is like a really good leader. She's very communicative. She's slow to become angry, if at all. She's really good with stress and operates the whole office very well. And Kelsey talking to me about her was like, I didn't know that someone could be this good. And it's like, perfect. Now you know how not to be, and now you know how to be.
Right.
And you can put those together, and you'll have like once again, our balance, the dark and the light, and you have a fully formed vision of what you need to do or how you need to be.
And I felt like you were going to throw a fireball at me right there.
It was a little bit of chakras.
Definitely.
Tickle his chakras.
Definitely throwing some energy towards me.
Tai Chi. You're like, oh. That felt good.
Right?
That felt good. Yeah, dude. So you were...
And it's hard to be a leader.
Absolutely.
It's not an easy gig.
No.
It's not an easy gig, and anybody who's ever had to lead knows that, but they're the personality types. There are the leaders. And there are people that you don't expect that can lead when it's time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
there are definitely different moments too that call upon different personalities. It doesn't always have to be the giant jacked Marine to take the control. It doesn't always need that. And speaking of Marines, they do a really good job. I think it's Marines or the SEALs. They do a really good job of what they call lead and be led. So like one at all times, one can be the leader or the follower. So for instance, if we were to swarm, this is what I understand from reading some books. If we were to go into a room and like infiltrate some terrorists, maybe I'm leading the particular charge. I kick in the door or whatever. We go in. There's nothing in there, but there's a secret door and it's closest to you. Suddenly you become the leader and I follow suit, and it's just like a unit.
It's communication. It's a constant communication, and you take ego out of the matter.
Right.
It's a machine. You're trying to become a machine.
Right.
Like every part of a machine is important. And if this part of the machine sees that door,
right,
this part of the machine says something and takes the lead and it moves.
Right.
I was watching Into Watch the other night.
Oh, yeah.
There's a good scene where Penier and Gyllenhaal are doing that through a house. Which, God, it had been like 6-7 years since I'd watched it. Oh, man, it came home from the bar after that burlesque show.
Yeah.
Sat down, put that on, and was just like crying by 3 in the morning.
Yeah.
At the end of it, I was just like, I'm going to write David Ayer a letter that says, stop making movies that are manly that make me cry.
Quit it.
Like Fury, that's another one that's just like,
oh, yeah.
brutal.
Fury was good, man.
It
was really good.
It's like, I feel like how my uncles would watch The Dirty Dozen back in the day. They would have that group, that brotherly love in that movie, and then just see one of them.
Right.
Spoiler alert,
Yeah,
see one of them die.
Right.
If you haven't seen fucking Into Watch,
right,
you're probably not going to watch it by this point. It's like 2014.
Oh, I think it's even, it was like 6.
Maybe it could be forever, 2004.
I was thinking it's back in that time era. But I hope they do something like that with Sons of Anarchy's prequel. Have you watched Sons of Anarchy?
No, I haven't done. I've seen an episode here and there. I like all the actors and things.
Right.
But
It's really good. It's a little bloated, like the series itself. It's like seven seasons, and you could probably do 5 solid, really good ones. But there's this mystery that envelops the whole story about how this motorcycle gang got started, which is Jax's dad, which Jax is your main character.
Yeah.
John Teller is this guy that started this motorcycle gang, and he finds his memoir, and he's reading about how it got started. I'm getting goosebumps. And there's this huge conspiracy of Gemma, which is Jax's mom.
Yeah, I'm aware of all the characters and everything like that.
So what happened
it's so dense.
Yeah,
it's hard to hop into at this point.
Yeah, exactly. If you watch the first 3 seasons, I think you're good. Yeah, because that third season, I believe it's the 3rd season where they, spoiler alert, escape from prison in a very spectacular way. It's oh man, so good. But yeah, the prequel would be showing the mystery, unwrapping some of those mysteries of what happened with John and Gemma and
that's
Clay.
supposed to be based when they came back from Vietnam, right?
Exactly. So you could even kind of go into Vietnam where that was a really big bonding moment. How many guys got totally fucked up because of what happened over there.
That uncle I was talking about, he did a tour, went to Germany after he got out, bought a motorcycle. Drove around Germany on a motorcycle, kept getting into trouble.
Right.
Kept getting into trouble. finally he just looked at the judge and said, "Send me back to Vietnam because I don't know how to act anywhere except for there."
Dang.
So he went back and did another tour, came back, hitchhiked America for about 5-6 years. Just gypsies, you know?
I mean, every time I see a hat that says Vietnam vet, I mean, I'm taken aback a little bit.
Right.
A little bit more than the other wars, just because of how...
It was
I don't know. I don't even know what to say about
it was
it.
an uphill battle.
Yeah.
It was a exercise in futility, really.
Yeah. You know,
and it's terrible.
Yeah.
You know, I respect, you know, the people that were in there, but I mean, the whole thing was just kind of...
Well, that was the whole, oh, God dang it. What's his name? The president, water board and all that kind of stuff. Nixon. They had the whole Nixon thing. They had the psychedelics coming out. You had like Hendrix and all that kind of music. It was just such a...
It was a revolutionary period in time.
It really was. You know, it was crazy. The feminist movement. I mean, you can just go down the list. Black Panther. You can just go down the freaking list. And it was just so volatile. And then you have this war, and the kids are going over there. And I call them kids. You know, these young...
They were kids.
Yeah, freaking kids. They don't know what they're doing. You know, it's almost kind of like Iraq now, where these guys just hide in the mountains and they just start shooting off. You know, you never know where they are. I mean, I think we're doing better than we were when we first went in. But, I mean, Vietnam was these deep jungles, and, you know, the Vietnams would just dig their heels in and just kill all day, you know?
Yeah.
And, yeah, I mean, I don't know much about it just from, you know, watching some movies and whatnot. But I know what it's done to men.
Yeah.
And what it did to their futures, like what you're talking about with your uncle, you know? He didn't even know how to act
he did
in society anymore, you know? How are you supposed to conduct yourself after doing some of that stuff?
Yeah. He said, you know, his commanding officer, when he got there, you know, pretty much the first night got them all fucked up. And then they said, kill anything that moves. Walk around and kill anything that moves.
That's crazy.
I can't imagine that. Like, I could never do it.
Right.
You know, I could never do that. But
that's just like the ultimate paranoia. Like,
yeah.
If it moves, you shoot. And then if I hear you shoot, I'm
everyone else is gonna shoot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then what if you get shot? And then I'm like, oh shit! All I see is green. You know, just no. I couldn't do it either. No. And obviously they did it, but
yeah, I'm thankful for everyone who can do it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't even know if they could do it, but they did it.
They did it. I mean, I'm sure if we were put in this situation, we could do it.
Right. But there's a price to be paid.
Yes.
And they paid it.
There's definitely a loss of innocence.
Yeah. Yeah.
Especially when you go so young.
Right. That's
and some of you don't have choices but to go.
Right.
You know, like with the draft.
Yeah. And you had this whole life planned out, and then suddenly you're head shaved on an airplane over the jungle. Like, what am I doing here? And then everyone's against you. Wasn't everyone against that war? Like they would come home and kind of be anti-soldier.
Yeah.
They just kind of got tossed.
That was the hippie revolution too, was at that time, and like you said, the Black Panthers and just I don't know. It was a very violent period.
Right. Well,
for sure.
Revolutions tend to be that way. You know. When you blow out the rules of society and you're kind of like trying to piece it back together, it's like, yeah, it's going to be pretty turbulent.
Yeah.
Chaos, as Jordan Peterson talks about.
Right.
But yeah. Fascinating stuff. So you're on a 3-week tour through California in the West Coast. You went to an old cowboy town.
Right. That's a good callback. That's a good callback right there. You just brought us right back into it. So anyways, got back. That was a good time. After that, got back to Joplin, was working as a head chef at this place, and decided that I needed a adventure in my life. So I applied for a sauté chef position at Yellowstone National Park, Old Faithful. I had never been to the Pacific Northwest. Always wanted to go up there. One of the most beautiful parts of our country. I'm really glad I did it. Wish I would have done it at 21 instead of 31. You know, because you had to live in a dorm.
Oh, right.
You had a lot of babysitters. And, you know, as a grown adult, it's hard to accept a babysitter.
Were you surrounded by a lot of 21-year-olds?
Oh, yeah. The cool thing was it was such a melting pot because there was a lot of international workers that worked there. So, like, I didn't know this until I started working there, that I really enjoy the company of Eastern Europeans. Yeah. I like their style. I like their thought process, everything. I made some really good friends from like Croatia, Poland, Warsaw, Poland, also like Yugoslavia. And it was really neat. And now I kind of have a network after working there like where I could just call these people and be like,
Yeah.
hey, remember those 4 months we worked together?
Yeah.
Because they come and they get paid terribly. You know, and like the 3 guys I would hang out with were going to be doctors in like 2 years.
Oh, wow.
But one of them was washing dishes.
Well, they just chose to do that just to...
I mean, they just wanted to come see the country.
Oh, okay.
Because what they did was they worked there, they saved all their money, and then they bought a Ford Explorer, drove it to San Francisco,
Nice.
like an old Ford Explorer. Drove it to San Francisco, drove it down through Texas, around the Grand Canyon, back to Florida, all the way up to New York.
Wow.
Sold it in New York, hopped on a plane, went back to Poland.
Oh, that's badass.
Yeah, so that was a very interesting experience. I got to do a lot while I was up there. Did a 20-mile hike through the Tetons.
Wow.
I remember when we pulled up to the Teton Mountains, I immediately in my head, I was just like, I will give money to the national parks, you know, for the rest of my life, every year. Like, just seeing the Signal Mountain, you know, in the Tetons. Just amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing, the beauty. It made me respect animals a lot more, too. And realizing how it is theirs. It's theirs just as much as ours. I can't even stand to see a caged animal at this point, you know?
I know, yeah.
Like zoos.
Circuses in town.
I can't do it, you know? Like, I just, after you see something living in its element and not giving a fuck that you're there,
Yeah.
you know, like we would have bison jams on the roads. Because if you get 10 bison on the road, you're not moving them until they want to move.
Yeah.
You know, so you line of traffic for a mile or two.
Jeez.
You know, until they decide to move. You can't get out and make them move.
No, that would not be wise.
Right? Got to see a wolf out in its element.
That's
it was scary.
Spiritual.
It was scary, spiritual. It'd been a long day driving around the lake. It was a lot more feral looking than I expected. And a lot bigger. You know, like bigger than a German Shepherd.
Jeez.
You know, like it was a formidable beast.
You were saying it's kind of like mangy, like its fur wasn't.
Yeah, like there were some spots that weren't there, and there were some, you know, clumps in its hair, and just kind of just looked over at us, and then just walked off into the woods.
Jeez.
And I was like,
yeah, for sure.
But you know, it was also just like, whoa, after.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You know, like that was beautiful.
It's a rush.
It was beautiful, you know, just to see that animal not being messed with.
Yeah.
You know, just letting it be an animal.
Right. Like if you go to a zoo, I've been to as many zoos.
Yeah, I've been to zoos in my day.
But I mean, you see like a tiger walking around, or a lion or a polar bear, like it's impressive, but nothing compared to seeing it in the wild. Like, I mean, I don't think I can say I've seen any of those 3 in the wild. I can't say that. But you saw the wolf, and so that's probably comparable to seeing one of those things, just hanging out like there's no limit to where I can go. Right? You're with me now.
Especially like a tiger or something like that, because they have such a wide range of area that they roam.
Yeah.
You know, like a house cat has like a 15 block range.
15?
Yeah. Like it's massive, the range that they can walk.
Oh, I didn't know it was that
every
big.
Day. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Cats are kind of spooky to me, actually. The things that they do. You love your cat.
Sweet little baby angels.
Your cat's not very nice to others, though.
I'm working on it. We're working on it.
Did you adopt him or her?
I actually found her in the bottom of an old gas tank at someone's house.
Oh, wow.
Like a propane tank for their house.
Okay.
With an end cut off. With like 3 or 4 other kittens.
Oh,
and their eyes were all matted shut. And they were dirty. And I chose one, gave the others to my aunt, and they, you know, dispersed them.
Right.
But my last cat, Gato, just died. And so it just
Not the cat at the party.
What?
Not the cat at the party.
No.
Oh, okay.
No, I had the cat I had before this. I had for 15 years.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Like it was one of those things where the animal becomes part of your family.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, it's who you talk to when no one's around.
Yeah.
Or when people are around.
Yeah, right.
You know, they're a thing. They're their own entity. You know.
Yeah, they definitely.
But they're part of your pack.
Right.
After a while, like when my last cat passed away, she woke me up at like 3 a.m. and just crawled up beside me.
Oh, wow.
And just like I could feel her breathing heavy, you know. I was just like petting her, like, yeah, it's okay.
Yeah.
It's all right. Go.
Yeah.
You know.
And
You're a good cat. Go.
That's when she died?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
called my mom immediately as an adult.
Yeah.
As an adult, like,
Right.
I'm sorry that it's 4 or 5 in the morning.
Right.
I then called my buddy Stuart and was like, get up and get a shovel.
Oh, dang.
Yep. Yeah. But, yeah, we're working on Yondu. We're working on her people skills.
Yeah. She's all right. She just needs a little loving.
Yeah.
She gets plenty from you, and trusts you and everything, but your hand starts going towards her. It's like,
Right.
like, oh, shit. That's good, man. Yeah, when we lost Ace, which was like a mastador, and when we buried him, and just the reflection upon how long he had been with us, it was incredible to think like, oh man, like he's been around a long time.
How many phases did that animal see you go through?
Yeah, a lot.
Like, because I mean, especially like we changed so much,
Yeah.
especially at young age.
Right,
When you're growing and learning what it means to be an adult.
right.
You fuck up a lot.
Yeah.
I was like, that cat saw every version of me until I became this version.
Right. Yeah, and I would gander that the older that you get, the more stable your version becomes.
I believe so.
At least you hope so. I mean, you don't want to be too unstable, but especially when you get an animal at a younger age, and it's small and you're small,
Right.
and you kind of both get bigger physically together, and you kind of live life together. Like, yeah, you do go through a lot of changes, and they're just kind of there.
Yeah. Like, I mean, I got that cat when I was 19.
Yeah.
I died when I was like 34.
Wow.
So,
Wow.
yeah.
Those are formidable years too. You
Yeah.
know?
That was, the brunt of, there's some crazy fucking Levi in those years.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, for sure. It's incredible what they can do, what sort of emotions they can elicit from you all those years. It's crazy.
But I mean, we are animals,
Mm-hmm.
We're just an animal.
Right.
We're just a different type of animal.
Right.
We're all the same.
Basically.
Just,
Yeah. I mean, if you go back far enough on the evolutionary tree,
Yeah.
definitely.
We've just advanced in our cognitive ability.
Right. We have our
Yeah.
cool little digits.
Right?
Yeah.
But they're
Super complex groups too.
right?
Those are weird. But yeah.
But something could have went different in the past,
Mm-hmm.
and we'd have an island of Dr. Moreau.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where the animals are, more advanced. And,
Yeah.
You know.
Well, you know what's weird though is like there's
Maybe
no
they
other
have a people zoo
yeah, the Planet of the Apes.
or TV.
People
basic,
TV.
Basic TV. That's a people zoo.
Yeah.
Reality TV.
Oh God, that's people prison. Like no other animals kind of doing what we're doing. Manipulating the environment. Like
Right.
I guess beavers make dams, but that's like nothing compared to extracting rare metals out of the ground and conforming it into a giant skyscraper or a fucking shuttle that goes to
Right.
blast a car off into space.
Yeah.
I mean, no one's doing that.
Yeah. Thank you, Warner Von Braun.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know?
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I mean, we definitely are we're different and same all at the same time as far as animal. It's almost like that dichotomy of animal and angel. Animal and devil.
Take all that away and separate people.
Mm-hmm.
See how animalistic a person becomes.
Now you're starting sound like the Joker.
Well, I mean, it's just this is one of those villains that you can relate to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because he believed it.
Right.
He believes that it's one bad day that separates him and Batman.
Yeah.
It's yeah.
Which is true. Don't they say you're 5 mistakes away from being homeless or something like that?
I haven't heard that, but
There's like a saying. I'm pretty sure it's 5. Like you're 5 bad mistakes away. No, that seems like too much. Maybe it's 3. It's like it was when you hear the quote, it's like, oh my God, that's how fucking close I am to just this whole thing getting wrecked. But if you think about it, I could think of 3 bad things that could totally put me in hell. I don't know what else to say. In hell. Like if I get a call, my wife's dead.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now I'm really spinning hard. Like that was a quick one. Take away a couple other family members, or maybe lose my job. Well, that's a hard right. And then you put one more on there. I'm spinning hard.
Yeah,
I might not come out of it.
It's and life tends to fuck you in a group, like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when it rains, it pours.
Yeah,
it's weird.
But it's about having the perseverance and not letting yourself, because anyone can get out of hand.
Yeah.
Anyone can let it go.
Yeah.
You know, I think maybe what separates us is that we have the ability to be like, it is going to be okay.
Right.
You can get through this. But, you know, with like suicide and things like that, I kind of always think of this quote by Lou Reed that says, sometimes compared to death, life is worse. And I try to think of that anytime I've had anyone close to me, like, take their own life and be like, well, you know what? It's not your decision, Levi. It's not your decision. It's every person's decision, whether they can withstand the trials and tribulations of this life. You know, and, you know, everyone wants to give up at some point. It's just being in that right state of mind to push forward.
Yeah.
You know, there are people that crumble under pressure, and there are people that, you know, push farther,
Right.
harder when
Right.
the pressure's on.
Right.
You know, you thrive on it.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. I always think about the place that you are now. It won't be the place that you are for very long.
No, and it's
Even
not the
if it's
place you
good.
were 5 years ago.
No, and that serves the purpose of good places and bad places. I like to think about life as, you know, like, it's pretty good right now. Enjoy it, because it's not going to be at some point. You know, at some
Right.
point something's going to go. But and then the parts that maybe you're having a rough time, just hang in there, because there's good times coming. I can't tell you what they are, but I promise they're coming. So just push through that moment, you know.
It can't rain all the time.
It can't rain all the time. But people, and myself included, get caught up in the moment, and just, it feels like forever.
Yeah.
It feels like forever. I talk about Red Oak sometimes being like a different world. And I think that place is a game. I think all jobs are a game.
Yes.
That we go. But
Absolutely.
you can get so wrapped up in the game where you think it's real life.
Yeah.
And so he's like, oh, I got written up. And you're like, oh my God, how did I get written up? Oh my God. It's like, it's just a piece of paper with some letters on it. And like, you're good. Like, look, your family's cool. Like, your friends are cool. Like, you're good.
You'll be all right.
That's not real life. This is real life, you know?
Yeah, when it's a busy night, we're not saving lives.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? We're serving food.
Exactly.
If you make a mistake, it's okay.
Exactly, right? And then the tables.
Everyone makes mistakes.
Yeah, you're good. You're good. And I used to get real bent out of shape with that sort of stuff. And I would be thinking in bed, like, wait a minute. That table is not thinking about me right now.
No,
they don't,
not at all.
They can't even remember what they had for dinner. I could tell you what they had for dinner. They couldn't. They'd be like, I think I had sea bass. Like, no, you didn't. You had pork chop. So and then that kind of released me of a lot of those stresses. It was like, they don't care. Why do I care? You know? Okay, just do better next time. Just tighten it up, do your job, and get out of there. But yeah, to come back to the suicide thing, it always comforts me to just be like, dude, this is not the end. It's going to change no matter what. You're going to get older. New people will come into your life. People will leave you in your life. You know, there's going to be some sort of change that changes your circumstances for better or for worse. It does, you know, this dynamic change is coming if you can just persevere.
Hold the line.
Yeah, hold the line. It's kind of like those memes. Have you ever seen the meme where there's two tunnels, one guy on top, one guy on bottom, and there's one tunnel where this guy is just like going away, and his tunnel goes way far deep, and if he just, you know, dug a little bit more, there's a fucking huge diamond. But he's turned around, he's kind of walking back, like, I'm tired of this. And then the bottom one is like this new eager guy, and he's got a long way to go to the diamond, but he's all eager to get there, you know? It's like,
right.
Dude, you were almost there. Like, you were almost there, you know? Don't give up. The diamond is right there. And that's kind of like the whole suicide thing of where, I'm not saying there's a giant diamond waiting for you if you don't do that, if you don't perform the action, but there could be a little diamond. Yeah. And that could lead to other things, you know? But like you said, it's all
you need is that one spark of hope.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? One good person can change your whole outlook on things, you know, or one good experience, one, you know, realizing that everything isn't shitty. Yeah. There are good people. Mm-hmm. There are good things that happen. There's a lot of shitty things that happen too. That's why I don't think we should give participation trophies to kids, because they don't learn how to lose gracefully. Right. And that's a big part of life. Mm-hmm. Being able to lose and go shake the person who won's hand.
Right. Well, that feeling that you get is really important, of like disgust. Like,
yes.
I don't like this feeling.
But being big enough to be like, all right, I lost.
Right. And you're using it in the
Next
correct
time
manner.
I'll do better.
Right. It's the same as, I've heard the argument the same as in college classrooms. Like if you have a learning deficiency of giving you more time on the test, they're like anti that. Like, no, it's not really how it works in the real world.
Yes.
When you go to this job applicant, they're not going to say, oh, it looks like you have a reading deficiency. It's like, they don't care. They just kick you down to the bottom of the bucket, and it's providing a false sense of reality for these kids. And
Yes.
and it's hard to argue that a little bit on my end because, one, I've not really done the research, but two, people are really adamant about that kind of stuff, especially if it's your kid that needs help. And it's like, man, you want to give him all the opportunity and chances that he or she needs or can get. But at the same time, like, are you hindering that child from actually becoming strong and going, I know you got a reading problem or whatever, but take the test as best you can.
Yeah.
And if you get a D, you get a D. We'll try better.
Yeah.
You know, it'll make you stronger. So
It will. You feel that feeling, you know, you don't want to feel that again, do you?
yeah, right.
And I mean, it's all about like playing a sport or something. You know, it's all about having fun, but you know what's really fun? Winning.
Yeah, right.
You know, nobody likes to lose.
No, nobody likes to lose. But like we said earlier, that's what's going to teach you a lot too.
Yeah.
But if you lose too much, I bet it could become bad.
Yeah.
It could become like a negative feedback loop of some sort, you know. You just get that's like there's this research that they do with rats, and if there's a bigger rat and a smaller rat and they wrestle, and there's like no way that this little rat could ever win. Just heavyweight versus lightweight, you know. Right. Heavyweight's going to win every time. If the bigger rat doesn't allow the smaller rat to win at least 30% of the time, the little rat's like, fuck this, I'm not playing. Okay. Yeah, so you kind of, in a way, you know, Brady and Belichick for the Patriots, do you know who they are?
Yes.
Okay, they're not letting anyone win 30% of the time. They're just like cutthroat, like let's win. But that's professional sports. But just interesting that in order to play the game or continue learning, you can't just decimate everybody. You almost have to, you know. And that goes all the way back to our competition thing, as far as art versus competition, or art in competition. You know, what is art? Is it exploring an idea or or is it competing to see who's the best at playing the guitar or whatever? Like, okay, yeah, there's skills that you can perfect and polish up, but you know, once again, it comes back to the art. And I would say art is more of exploring. You know, you have an idea, or I can't really think of another word that reflects an idea, but
it's
like
an outlet. It's an outlet for all of things, you know. Like, I don't know. You said, "What is art?" And immediately in my head, I was like, "Pain."
Pain.
I mean,
Without
you know,
love.
you know, it's like, what is art? Pain in the craft aisle.
Yeah, right.
Pain in a guitar, but also happiness in a guitar. But you know, I tend to get a lot of my frustrations out, you know, in my songs, because I like to write stories, and I like to write stories sometimes, you know, just completely made up, but sometimes I'll look at situations with people, you know, because I'm a people watcher, you know, so I'll see a situation and I'll give my opinion. I guess it's very opinionated in a song, but it's my take on it, you know, from an outside,
right?
You know, and I try to put myself in that when I'm writing about someone else or some other situation that I'm not familiar with,
Right.
You know, explore that situation, you know, do your homework just like everything else, you know.
Yeah. Casey, my brother, used to talk about, he got really into Johnny Cash for a while and read some biographies on him and was listening to all his music. And he made the observation that I wrote down because I was so impressed by it. He said, like, back in the day, people like Johnny Cash, and people today, but more back then because music wasn't so widely distributed. People back in the day would write about their own problems and sing about their own problems, and people would relate to those because kind of your own problems are almost everyone's problems in a way. Nowadays, you know, with all the pop and the what would you call it, like the mainstream type stuff, it's just kind of like a general problem. Like I get drunk too much, you know, I don't know, and it's just put to a catchy tune, and yeah, it sounds good and everything, but it doesn't go very deep as far as like Johnny Cash being like, you know, talking about what was her name? I forget her name. The chick that he was always with. June. You know, he's like all the problems that he had with June, and you know, everyone listening is like, I have those same problems, you know, or I have similar problems to that. It's like, Johnny fucking Cash is having the same problems. Like, he's a real dude just like me. You know?
Exactly.
So I always thought that was so profound.
My favorite quote from Hank Williams is, "Country music is 3 chords and the truth."
3 chords and the truth?
Yeah, that's all you need.
Damn.
It's 3 chords and the truth.
Damn.
You know, that's what country music is.
Yeah.
You know, to write the perfect country song.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's heavy. That almost makes me think. I think it was Hemingway that said, you know, writing's easy. You just get on a typewriter and bleed. Like that seems like that same sort of heaviness to it.
Yeah, and I love Hemingway. I love Hank. I love Johnny.
Yeah.
And that's so when you say what is art?
Yeah.
Pain.
Right. But pain from what? Or
pain, frustration, emotion, passion. Passion is good. Passion is bad. You know, you can be. So like extremes are very close. When you're extremely happy or extremely sad, both of the emotions are very close. You know, like when you hear a sad song and cry, but you're happy.
Yeah.
You know, like making a crowd get whipped into a frenzy is the exact same thing as making a crowd cry. You know, it's that transfer of emotion between the two of you. Mm-hmm. You know, because that's what a show is. That's what a performance is. It's transferring your emotion and connecting with those people out there. You know, like trying to bare your soul and feeling them give you some back. Mm-hmm. You know, like, because if they don't say anything after every song, it's hard to play.
Yeah, I bet
It's really hard to play.
That's like a comedian that no one's laughing, or they're bickering. You know.
But I mean, I've played tons of shows to 2-3 people. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. A bartender, a girlfriend, and you know, just me playing for 3 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard, but you also have to be a professional and an artist and do it. You know.
So okay, so you're saying that art is pain. Do you think that art, or at least the creation of art, is almost like a means of connection with people? Like you're like you said, you're showing them your take on something. You're trying to connect with them and saying, like, are you asking them the question, like, is this, do you feel this way too? Like, about, like, I saw this girl and this is how I feel about her. Have you ever seen someone like that and felt about them the way I did?
Right. But I also think it's very subjective. So like, what if I write a song, what it means to me is not important. Like if you ask me, what's that song mean? Right. I'd be like, what does it mean to you? Because that's what it means. You know, everyone takes everything. You know, I may have some thought in my head of what it means to me, and it could be completely different than you. And if I tell you, then it changes your opinion of that, and art's subjective. You know, it should be something different to everyone. Right. I think. Right. In my opinion, you know.
Yeah. At least some different levels of interpretation of.
But it is a way for me to open myself up and like release, just, you know, artistic relief. You know, just get it out.
It's super intimate too. You know, I just wrote this first blog post, and for the longest time, you know, I've wanted to be a writer, and people have talked about like, oh, your writing's good. I'm always like, oh, fuck off. You know, I don't want you to tell me it's bad, because that would hurt. But you know, I finally conjured up the courage and everything. But it was really interesting to go through the emotions of like, okay, these are some weird thoughts that I've had, and you put it out there like on the internet, which is really crazy. And it's like people are inside your head, and it's got to be the same way with music, you know, especially when you are singing it to them. You know, it's almost like you open the door to your heart or your soul, and you're like, come dance for a little bit, you know, which takes profound courage. And probably why there's not everyone's a country music star or a best-selling novelist, because it takes courage to let people in. Right. Maybe you don't even let yourself in. Yeah. Maybe, you know, that's probably the hardest person to let in is yourself.
Yeah. Having the vulnerability to put the truth to those 3 chords, you know, and believe it, and know that that's, you know, accept that you're telling everyone. And knowing that they're all going to see it some way different. Probably no one will see it the way you see it. Yeah. You know, but I don't like explaining what songs mean, you know, like my songs at least.
Right. If they're not just pretty much there. You know, if you start getting a little bit magical,
right? But yeah, it's a trip.
It's almost like you're casting spells. You know, it's almost like you're casting a spell where you're speaking these magical words, and it does something different to everyone. Where you are speaking the magical spells out into the room, and I'm over in the corner, and I'm going, "Wow, this reminds me of the first time I kissed Kelsey." You know, but then there's another person in the room going like, "Man, I miss my grandma." You know, or there's another person in the room going like, "Good beat." You know, like it's just like, what is it bringing out of you? So, and probably determines, and I would say, definitely determines on how much the audience member or the person that is engaging with the content is allowing to be engaged with. You might be flipping on your phone, you might be kissing your girlfriend or whatever, but if you're like totally tuned in, like it might be so powerful. It might be overwhelmingly powerful, you know?
You're throwing magic out there, and there's just this rhythmistic shaman on stage,
basically
using tones and rhythms, just like, you know, like a shaman's dance or chant,
right?
You know what I mean? Like you're trying to take them to another place, like you're weaving a web and telling a story and creating a world. And you know, when we as Americans, you and I, we watch videos or hear recordings of shamans, you know, it's another language. So to us it's foreign and doesn't make sense, but if we knew that language, I guarantee he's doing exactly what you're doing on stage. Like you just said, weaving a story. He's going, you know, as the jaguar walks through the woods, you know, he sees blah, blah, blah. And you know, he strings together these words that actually would influence that person in a way, you know. We hear, oh my gosh, and it sounds cool and everything, but we don't pick up the actual meaning of those words besides what they sound like. Right. But the meaning behind them we don't really pick up on. But yeah, you're exactly right. A shaman on stage. That's the title of your next album. Right? God, that's a great title for an album.
Shaman
on stage.
I would go to that show.
Right? I'm like, fucking shaman, all right, let's check this out, man.
Got a headdress on and just
he better have a cool necklace at least.
Yeah, those little monkey skulls or something. Shamans are cool. Scary, but they're cool.
Yeah.
They're cool. I guess priests are our shamans of today, sort of. I guess they were. Now I don't know what our shaman is. Probably the internet. It's weird.
I hope not.
What?
I hope the internet isn't our shaman.
It's one wicked shaman, dude.
Right?
But yeah, you're into all that sort of esoteric and old, ancient, alien type things.
Yeah. I just enjoy old cultures, and I respect you know, how different life was, and like all the great civilizations that they could build back then, you know, before they created the wheel, you know, before they, you know, they were creating massive cities, you know, hundreds of thousands of people living in these cities, you know, they're
it's fucking weird.
That's crazy. And they're just swallowed by jungle now.
Right.
You know,
or sand.
Yeah, exactly. Like, imagine if we could just blow the sand off Egypt. How much we would find.
It would be rewrite the history books.
Yeah, know? And that's, you know, and society is very scared of things like that.
Yeah.
You know, it's like we were talking about history books, you know, whoever, you know, wins puts their stamp and writes history.
Yeah.
You know, history is written by the victors.
That's it.
I figured it out.
I remembered.
I figured it out. I heard it in my head as soon as we started talking about it.
That was it.
Yeah.
Man, I apologize. I wasn't even close.
Yeah.
That's it, though.
You know, so when I think of like, when they're like, oh, well, this is this many years old, I'm like, well, that's your guess.
Yeah, right.
That's your educated guess.
Right.
You know, and after you made your educated guess, now you don't want to accept any other guesses.
Mm-hmm. Right.
You know, because you'd have to admit you were wrong.
Right.
You know, like when, you know, they thought the pyramids were 2,000 years old. It's like, now they're 5,000 years old.
Aren't they like 9?
I'm like, maybe they're 12,000 years old.
Right.
Maybe they're 20,000 years old. We don't know. You weren't there. I wasn't there.
Right.
God, time travel. That would be the best.
Oh, where would you go?
Definitely old cultures immediately.
Which one? You get one choice.
Mayan.
You would? You go to Mayan? Our Mayans aren't really that old, though.
No, but I would go there. But
who
knows? Who knows how old they are?
That's
They
true.
built out of stone.
That's true.
You know
At least they
what I mean?
weren't there. I mean, when Spaniards or whatever made contact, it wasn't that long ago. Like
No, yes,
Genghis
yes.
Khan was.
Yeah,
you know,
when we made contact with them,
Right,
that wasn't.
but who
that
knows
long
how
ago, but
long they go back.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You know, like why do we have pyramids on every continent
yeah.
that are all built the same? Like, where is this lost civilization that connected everyone?
Right.
You know, because you cannot tell me that all these people are building the exact same types of structures
Yeah.
and not being influenced by each other somehow.
You know, that's weird. And then like the hero myths, like the myths that encapsulate every culture.
Yeah,
all
or the
have these-
religious myths.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know, they're all the same. Everything's the same.
Yeah, yeah. They're just tweaked a little bit, but like that's the same story. Like Osiris, Horus, that's the same as
Exactly.
Yahweh, Jesus. You know, like it
Yeah.
just kind of all comes together. It's like, but they're separated by hundreds, if not thousands, of years sometimes.
Yeah.
Especially the Mesopotamians. Mesopotamians. Yeah.
Right.
I mean that culture, like we don't even get all of that culture. We get a little bit of like some old structures, and there was what was that one guy? Dang
But they were like the first great civilization
that we know
that
of.
we know of,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, big time great civilization.
Yeah, that was the first time we went from just being hunter-gatherer type moving around to actually being like, okay, we're going to start farming. We're going to build these giant cities.
Right.
You know, what's the cuneiform? Cuneiform?
Oh,
Is
the
language.
writing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Cuneiform, and then gods went from forest-bearing spirits to like now we're going to worship the sky, or we're going to worship. We're going to make monuments. Like this is Hurok, and it's like it's a dude with like a dog's head or something.
Exactly.
Like the gods became different, and I don't know. It's really weird.
And they either came from the sky or from underneath.
Yeah,
You know,
which
they
is
either
also
came
weird.
out of the ground or they came from the sky. You know.
Well, the sky always begets, the idea of
Right.
aliens.
Exactly.
Like, what else comes from the sky? Well, asteroids, spaceships.
Right. Vibranium.
Huh?
Vibranium.
What's that?
It's the meteor that falls in Wakanda in Black Panther.
Gotcha.
It's the metal that Captain Shield's made out of.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah.
So is Wakanda, like, magical?
Yes.
Okay.
It's like El Dorado. Pretty much like I don't want to get too much into it because it's such a fresh movie.
True.
All right, I can go all day about it.
Yeah.
It's good. Check it out.
I'm looking forward to watching that. Yeah, like, the Egyptians are crazy. Mayans are crazy. Aztecs are crazy. One thing, and you're fans with Graham Hancock. And,
Yes.
Carl, what's his name?
Sagan?
Yeah, Carl
Okay.
Sagan. No, not Carl Sagan. Randall Carlson.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and they, like they talk about North America getting pelted by an asteroid.
Mm-hmm.
There's a book that I have called American Serengeti, and basically it just breaks down like what North America used to be. Like we had mammoths, we had rhinos, woolly rhinos. Like we had everything and more that Africa has right now. But we don't think about that as today. We're like, no, we're totally clear. No saber-tooth. We want to focus saber-tooths, nothing. But no one can really explain like what happened. They just kind of chalk it up to extinction, just like, drastic extinction. But, Carlson talks about meteorite impact or asteroid impact. And then there's some evidence of that happening in North America to where, that's what wiped out those mammoths. They're gone because of freaking asteroidal impact. But then that begs the question of like, well,
Was it natural?
oh God,
I
was not going there. I wasn't going. You talking like laser, like a
No, I'm just saying like
Someone-
how easy is it, if you're a space traveling society, how easy is it to
they
push a rocket
hate
at you?
mammoths.
To push a rocket, a planet?
I mean, yeah, but why?
I don't know.
They're just,
Why do people do things that they do?
But I think if you're flying spaceships, aren't you like super smart?
We fly in the sky. Are we super smart?
Somewhat. We're still.
A person is. People
Yeah.
are usually stupid as a group.
Yeah.
It's really,
sort of.
it is easily, a group is easily manipulated. You know what I mean? Like we have lots of cultural advances, but there are some ideologies that we have that are so ridiculous.
Yeah, it can definitely. Yeah, ideology can spread through a group pretty quick.
Yeah.
But the group is the individual. But yeah, I get what you're saying.
Anyways, where were you going?
I
with
was
it?
going with what sort of mega civilizations might have been there, like human mega civilizations. Like, you got the Aztecs and Mayans, you got the Egyptians, you got the Aborigines in Australia, don't even get started on Asia. You know, they were fucking how many dynasties in, you know?
Well, you know, depending on how far you go back, Antarctica.
What was in Antarctica?
Well, what was?
Oh, true.
You know what I mean? It was everything was different.
Yeah,
then,
right.
You know?
If you moved it north a little bit.
Like the, what is the Perry Reese map? Mm-hmm. That's from before they knew the Antarctic continent, and it has the shoreline correct on it. There's also a Renius something. I can't remember the other name. There's two maps, like ancient maps, that show the coastline, you know, of like Victoria Land and shit.
They'd never been there.
Yeah, and they didn't even know it was there.
How?
How?
I don't know.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I can't, like, I don't understand how you, if you learn about this, how you don't want to dump everything into learning about everything.
Oh, it's easy. I mean, once you start hearing one or two of these conspiracies, it's like, yep, forget it. Let's go, you know, for the rest of our lives. That's what scares me.
Yeah.
9/11 did that to me. Well, I came across Zeitgeist when I was 17 or 18 years old.
Yeah, that'll fuck you up.
Holy shit.
It'll fuck you up.
If you're not ready for that, oh, wow.
Yeah.
Man, it was super powerful. And then it wasn't only Zeitgeist. There's three of them. There's Zeitgeist, Addendum, or Addendum, or I don't know how to say it. And then there's the third one, which I don't really, maybe it's called the Movement, Zeitgeist Movement. But all three of them are like, whoa, if you are ready for that shit.
Yeah, that's where like I learned about all the similarities between the religions and things like that.
Yeah.
And especially like the sun stopping
on,
you know, and then 3 days rising again.
Solstice.
So summer solstice or spring equinox, one or the other.
Yeah, equinox or Easter equinox and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, that stuff is crazy. And, you know, people that kind of write that off, you know, usually Christians, they're like, no, you know, we don't go off the stars. It's like, how'd the wise men find Jesus?
Right.
They read the stars. You know, they were people from the East. They were three dudes from the East. So they were Mediterranean or Asian type people. And they're astronomers. Like, they studied the wise men. They studied the fucking stars.
Everyone has studied the stars, you know?
Yeah.
Like, look at ancient buildings that were built where sun comes through a corridor one day, you know?
Right.
Like, the Vikings built one here, in, like, up North America somewhere. One of the mounds.
Okay.
That they built. It's just like this one day of the year this happens.
The sun
or like the Mayan temples with the shadow of the stairs, having Quetzalcoatl come down.
Oh,
the shadow looks like the snake is coming down the stairs.
I mean, what in the heck?
You know,
how would you even begin to think like that? You know?
Right?
Like, I mean, I'm going to make this thing. We have to build it precisely this way.
Right?
It's going to take computers.
20 years to build. And I'm going to kill like 6,000 to 20,000 people building it just because I'm going to work them to death.
Exactly. Yeah, we're just going to lift rocks all day. But they're going to last forever.
Yeah.
Until the jungle takes them back.
They're the only things that last forever are those giant stone monuments. You know?
Right. Put all our secrets on the wall. They'll figure it out.
Right.
Like,
right.
What? Yeah, it's crazy, you know? And almost every culture I can think of did that. You know, they did put their secrets, they did put their stories on the walls or their totems or in their scrolls, you know. And, you know, probably more today than ever before, we probably because of the internet and the connectivity, we can juxtapose all those stories and kind of see like what's the same, what's different, where did this get influence from that influence, and like, oh, there might have been cross travelers, there might have been a guy that went to China, learned everything. He's like went on this crazy camel journey and somehow made it to South America, you know. And we don't know.
Right?
There's just not that much of.
Can you imagine that?
Down.
Just that manifest destiny of like being Lewis and Clark.
Terrifying.
Yeah. Like you're going to die. Probably you're going to die.
Most likely.
Most likely you'll die.
Yeah. Of something horrible.
Right.
You know, imagine seeing like you saw a wolf, but you knew the reference before you saw it. Yeah. Imagine seeing that thing without ever knowing that thing exists. Yeah. It makes me want to throw up. Like, I don't. If you did not know and that just kind of came out, like
having to connect and like talk to people that don't speak your language, like
terrifying.
How to get it across.
Right.
You know, like Percival Fault down in the Amazon when he was surveying down there. He would use he played a squeeze box And so like when the tribes would come out, he'd start playing music.
Oh, nice.
You know,
Good
like
move.
a soft music.
Right.
And I always thought that was really genius.
Yeah, kind of calm everybody down. Let them know we're not hostile.
Like it's not aggressive.
Right. Just come on out, and especially the tribes of the Amazon, they love music. You know,
Yes.
a lot of their rituals and all their
Dance,
rituals.
sound.
Yeah, and in fact, you know, even like African tribes, Aborigine, almost every ancient tribe, has some music. You know, with their rituals or their just livelihoods. So yeah, good move on him.
Right, I always thought that was really genius. I watched that documentary, what is it, Lost in the Amazon.
Oh, I remember you told me about that.
So great.
I forgot about that one. I just downloaded Magical Egypt. It's like, fuck, how do I get all these into one so I can just watch them?
Right. Just spend 20 hours watching documentaries.
Pop an Adderall and just go.
Right.
Magical Egypt. Let's see. You know, and even like Carlson and Hancock and a couple other people, they have like full on lectures online,
Oh yeah,
like
I've watched
2 or
some
3
of them.
hours long where they go through a PowerPoint slide and stuff.
I know
even those
it's hard
are
to
good.
watch sometimes though. Like I usually try to do that when I'm like super stoned laying on the couch.
They're
Just like listen.
take it in as in chunks. Yeah. I have a watch late night watchers folder on my YouTube. It's just kind of like those old History Channel documentaries. I'm a sucker for the old History Channel.
Oh, yeah.
Where they're, you know, like the corny music and the weird intros, but I love them so much. Dude.
Yeah.
I love them. They're so good. I guess that's probably what I watched them as a kid, so it kind of takes me back a little bit, but at the same time they're so fucking good.
Right.
I love them, dude. But Magical Egypt, there's Chariots of the Gods. What else is there? As far as, you go to YouTube and you type in whatever you want.
Yeah.
Aztec documentaries. There's
Yeah.
going to be at least 10 that just
Right,
come
we
up
all
like
know
that.
what the internet is.
yeah. Go to the internet.
Go to the internet, you know. And
National Geographic and Discovery and all those sorts of avenues.
like the knowledge is at your fingertips these
Right.
days.
Yeah,
Anything you want to learn about, you can learn about.
absolutely.
So that's why I don't understand like people who don't, research things.
Right.
Because like even if in like work, right?
Mhm.
Like they bring us the new bourbon. I go and I read about that bourbon that night.
Right.
I get what I'm going to say, how I'm going to sell it, if I'm going to sell it.
Right.
Because the decision is mine, what I push and what I don't.
Right.
Ours, But not doing your homework on something, it just doesn't make sense to me.
When
in
it's-
this day and age, when it's in your phone.
Yeah, at any time. And all it shows is either you're lazy or you don't care if you
Yeah.
don't research it, because it's like you said, it's there more than you could ever
Yeah.
ingest or
Yeah.
take in. It's crazy. But yeah. Speaking of, I guess what did you think of that rum?
I liked it.
Yeah.
I liked it. That's the first glass I'd had since we
Yeah,
tried
yeah.
it that day at work.
Bones rum. You might remember it from the other podcast.
All right. Yeah, it's good. It's really good once the ice melts into it a bit.
Nice. Melts out a little
Yeah.
bit. That's cool. You saw me open the bottle. I have never had a drink yet, so I'm excited. I'll probably drink it after yoga. I
Right.
don't want to sweat it out at yoga.
Right. It's definitely lots of vanilla.
Really?
Yeah.
That's cool.
I feel the vanilla. But like about this tea too, and this is a pretty potent tea,
It is.
like flavor wise.
I made it pretty strong too, but it's good.
It's great.
I don't know if there's any caffeine in it. I want to say there's not.
Yeah, I figured it wouldn't be since it was you.
well, okay, I can see why you said that. But like I've drank it at work late before, and I can go home and sleep.
See, I'll drink it all gray at 11 o'clock at night.
No, I'll convulse. I'll be like in bed convulsing, and I'll get up and I'll walk around and I'll stare out the window for a while, and I'm like, fuck. There's a couple ways I can go to sleep, but I can't talk about them on the podcast. It's little tips and tricks. So are you gonna do any shows coming up?
Nothing scheduled right now. I'm working on a couple things. I'm gonna try to hit the studio here pretty soon and record a 5-song track. I
5-song
usually
album?
Okay. Yeah, 5-song album. Just and I give all my music away. I don't think I just put it out there.
Yeah.
Buy my merch.
Yeah.
That's where I make my money.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and that way, if I want to do a cover, I can put it on there
True.
and then not sell it.
That's-
Or I can, every hat you buy, I'll give you a CD.
That's the way. Here you go. That's how you can do a cover is if you don't.
Yeah, you can't
Sell it.
charge for it. You
Right.
know what I mean?
Right.
Because somebody else owns the rights to it. But you can You know what I mean?
Do a cover all you
You
want.
did a
and-
cover. You didn't
yeah.
charge anybody for it.
Right. Wonder
like-
if you could cover a movie and then not charge anybody. Just remake Star Wars. But so besides that stupid thought, but you're actually, from what I understand, you're going to do some like collaborative work.
Yeah, I've been working on some hip hop R&B stuff with a buddy of ours, Alex Hill, Dr. Hill.
Dr. Hill.
We both wanted to step out of our comfort zones a little bit,
Mhm.
so we decided to produce a song for each other. So I wrote a song, he gave me a beat, and we've been kind of just throwing ideas back and forth. It'll be interesting to see how it turns out at the end.
Is that coming along, or
It is.
kinda-
It is. We've got our second cut of the actual composed music for my track, because it's all beats and digital stuff. And my song, I just wrote I listened to a lot of because I wanted to do something that I didn't think he would ever do.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I went and listened to like old country gospel for a couple days. And I listened to old country gospel and the Velvet Underground.
Oh,
So
wow.
like 50s,
Right.
60s, that whole generation thing there, and put a song together for him.
Huh.
The working title's Hot Pursuit. He can change that, whatever. It's just what I was calling it,
Yeah.
But it's definitely something that I don't think he'd ever write. But I was thinking of him when I wrote it. Like, not subject-wise, but like his voice and his style and the way he plays guitar and things like that.
Right.
So mostly we've been working on my track right now because it's the one that's on the computer already, you know. Like, so all I have to do is lay down vocals, and then I send him some stuff, and I'll be like, I need this beat to go on for 2 more measures,
Right.
I need this, this what up with it to repeat here,
What up with it?
Yeah, like a sample that says what up with it somewhere in the song.
Right.
And so we're pretty much just emailing back and forth cuts of the track right now and working on it. But it's coming along, and it's an interesting experience.
Yeah. I'm excited to hear it
Yeah.
because I know your music and I know his music, and they're different.
Right?
They're different.
They're different.
And his skills are growing and your skills are changing and growing. So it's like, it'll be cool to see, like, if you guys throw out everything that you've kind of learned or feared and then come together. And it's like, just fun, You're not, no one's trying to make a buck. You're just like,
No,
what?
it's just for experience.
Exactly. What happens when
Yeah.
Levi and Alex cross paths with their skills?
Right?
Yeah, that's cool. When you create a song, I mean, is there like an outline of how you create one, or is each one kind of different to where maybe sometimes you start with the lyrics, or maybe sometimes you start with like a beat, or maybe your girlfriend breaks up with you or whatever, like what initiates this sort of creation?
You never know. You never know. I mean, it could be a good day, a bad day. I write all the time. All the time. Words, prose, poetry. I've been actually the short flick that I talked to you about. I started writing out the script. There's a lot of writing that goes into that. Like, I'm 2 pages in with 2 lines.
Oh, the script. I was like,
About the party and the 2
Yes.
couples.
Right.
Because I said I would write up a script. But it's like, camera comes on, shoulder carried up the stairs to the door, focus on the door,
Right.
see a hand come forward, knock, 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 everyone inside, come in. As you come in, and then you're explaining the whole room,
Right.
every person in the room.
Yeah.
It's just like, Jesus, there's a lot of writing that, goes into a 10-minute scene.
Oh, definitely. Definitely.
So that's interesting too, but I'm writing all the time.
So are you forcing yourself? Or are you kind of saying like, is it kind of like a workout where, hey, I'm working out today, or I'm writing today at some point, or I'm writing at 8:00, or is it kind of like does it come easier to you?
It comes pretty easy because I've done it for so long.
Okay.
It used to be a more structured sit down with a bottle and some cigarettes and a pad paper and go.
Just what did you do it in your house? You kind of go to a bar or a coffee shop?
Yeah, I would do it at home alone.
Yeah.
Down in the basement usually.
Okay.
And just get turned.
Yeah.
Get turned and start writing.
Yeah.
maybe listen to some other music, maybe watch something, but I used to have to force it, and now it just comes. Like, I know the feeling.
Right.
Or when I say something, it clicks. Then I'm like, write that down.
Yeah. Yeah,
and
that's
so
important.
There's always just, it looks like, the notebooks from 7.
Yeah. Right.
If you look at, because I have like 10
Yeah.
notebooks full of stuff from when I started writing.
Yeah.
So, and if you look, it's just like, because what I do is I write everything. And then I go back and just start taking out unnecessary things.
So how much time would you say that you spend rewriting versus like just screenwriters call it the vomit draft, just like get it out and then they start rewriting and reconstructing.
Sometimes it's just there. You know what I mean? Sometimes, but most of the time, at least I have a book that I put them in finally when I decide they're done. Like that, everything's neat and nice in that book.
Yeah, that's the book you want published.
Exactly.
Not the other notebooks.
No, I publish it all. You know me, man. I'm like good with the bad, rough edges, man. That's what life's about.
Yeah.
Life is about seeing the process.
Yeah.
There's the struggle. There's the inner struggle with yourself. Writing a line, marking it out, writing the same line.
Yeah.
Like, this is stupid. You can do better. And then you can't do better.
Yeah.
And then 2 weeks later, you're like, I did better.
Yeah, right.
So you have like a line that has like one word difference.
Yeah.
Or like it's said a different way. Like the way you pronounce the word to make it rhyme.
Right. There was a old book. I guess I really haven't looked for it on the internet, but it was in Books A Million or Barnes and Noble or something, but it was real big photo book. And it was just a book of Eminem's notes.
No, there's a Kurt Cobain book like that too.
And it's exactly what you're talking about, to where, he's writing lyrics and stuff. And so there would just be these kind of lyrics or bars, whatever you want to call them, and scratch outs and just ideas that were dog shit.
Yeah.
Absolute dog shit. But he would reformulate.
You bounce off that dog shit idea.
Exactly. And it was, and like you said, it was cool to see that kind of process. And I think as an amateur writer, or whatever you want to call it, it shows that that no one's doing it. No one is just spewing out gold. No. Not even like King or anything like Stephen King or, even like the bigger players like Chris Nolan or, David Ayers or any of those guys. Like, they're not just perfect draft one, print it, make the movie.
Right.
They're struggling. Like Christopher Nolan is talking to who's the guy that's got sleeves and he wrote Blade. David Ayers.
I know who you're talking
Goyer,
about.
David
Yes.
S. Goyer.
Yes, David S. Goyer.
They're talking about Dark Knight. The fucking Dark Knight. You remember how good the Dark Knight is? And then,
yeah, it's good.
And Christopher Nolan asking Goyer, he's like, hey, have you figured out Act 1? And he goes, no, I haven't been doing anything. It's like, what? You guys haven't been just like slaving away figuring this out? He goes, no, but I have been working on a Superman script. And it was like, that is hilarious. You're like, that's human nature, where you have, you're supposed to be doing.
This is what I should be doing, but this is what I'm going to do.
Yeah. And he's like, but it was cool. Chris's reply was, cool, tell me about it. It wasn't like pissed or anything. Like, you didn't figure out what the Joker's going to do. He's like, cool, tell me about it. And then sure enough, here we go. Superman reboot, I thought that was so cool.
Yeah, it's So to answer your question though, 3 times probably. 3 times of I think it's done and rewrite it.
Have you ever been like on stage with a newer song? Like, do you do, like how comedians will take raw jokes on stage?
Absolutely.
So have you ever been on stage with like kind of a raw song and kind of been going through it and been like, ooh, need to change that? That's probably a pretty good technique to use.
Yeah, sometimes I just change my lyrics for fun though too.
Yeah.
Like, just sometimes I like to, improvise too. So sometimes, like, I sing Knocking on Heaven's Door with, like, not the Knocking on Heaven's Door lyrics.
Right.
The chorus was the same, but I just made up what I wanted in between.
Right.
And it's just, I like to actually do that. Like, I'll have, like, a first verse and a chorus done, and I'll take it out, play that, and then, like, start with another song, right, kind of run it into it, and just judge reaction, and then... Because there's only about...
That's tricky. Or is
it?
I
I don't know. I've been looking at crowds for a long time.
True. It's probably like a table.
You use the people that you know usually. Like there are a couple people I look at that know my music, know my style.
Yeah.
And there's only a few of the opinions that I really care about.
Right. But you probably pick up a vibe from a room, like get like a table, like if you go, how's everything? And it's kind of like, you can feel that vibe. You're like, whoa,
you can feel it when you're walking up sometimes.
Most of the time. I would say almost every time. If you're paying attention, you can feel it.
Yeah. You see body language, you see if they're comfortable, if it gets their attention.
Posture and eye contact and all that kind of stuff. So I imagine, I guess, a larger audience, you get more input. So it's probably,
how fast are they drinking their drinks while you're playing this song?
Is that good to drink fast or slow?
If you're having a good time, I think you're drinking faster usually.
Oh, okay. Right.
I like about 11:30, 12 o'clock crowd. That's the bar crowd I like. That's really getting loose, about to make some bad decisions.
And you're there to elicit the nice music for them to
exactly
their soundtrack of bad decisions.
Exactly.
That's great.
Soundtrack of bad decisions.
That's your next
exactly.
album.
God,
you're welcome.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's funny. Do you like playing in bars? But it's kind of more of a different vibe,
I like playing in small venues.
Kind of like
not just bars, but small venues. It could be a coffee shop, it could be anything where it's close.
Yeah.
Because
crowds of 50 people max.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a good crowd. You know?
What about like a 5,000 crowd?
It all becomes one after a certain number.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like you stop picking out individual people and just see it as one.
It's just a mob.
It's a mass.
Right.
And if your crowd's that big, usually the lights are on you.
And you can't see shit. You just
really can't see them. Yeah.
It's just like a crowd of 150 people crowds,
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
I like the small ones where I can kind of hear what conversation you're having at the table.
Oh, that's cool.
If I wanted to talk to you without a mic, I could.
Right.
I feel people pay more attention that way sometimes.
Mm-hmm. You can get called out.
You don't have to do as much like big production. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like if you have 50,000 people there, you better have a 50,000 person show.
True.
You better have lights. You better have something to entertain those people.
Triceratops.
Exactly. Like Sam Squanch comes out and break dances in the middle of the show. Like when I went and saw Kendrick Lamar, that was one of the things that was really good because it was so many people and he's just one guy on stage.
Yeah.
And he had him the whole time.
Did he have fireworks and stuff?
He did. He had fire. He had made a whole kung fu movie.
Okay. Like
where he played a character in it. And like they shot it all, had the old like traditional kung fu like logos and shit when you came up.
That's cool.
And it, like throughout, he would just cut back to clips of it.
Yeah.
And he was telling a story through that.
That's cool.
Also telling a different story on stage. Also telling another story because he had this one dancer that would come out. This chick, and she was amazing. Yeah. Just amazing. She played drums at the Grammy actually.
Okay.
With him. And then he had like a martial artist come out with like a samurai sword.
Oh shit!
And like do things behind him like in the full ninja, regalia.
Shit.
Yeah. And it was cool. It was cool because he had thought it out. You know that he knew every beat, every tick, every moment of that show. Like he could swing his hand, and by the time it got to the end, that's when the bass would hit. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And just knowing it inside and out like that is what you better. I like more of a free-for-all.
Mm-hmm. Raw type
I don't
show.
think about things before I get on stage. I get on stage and I go.
Yeah.
Most of the time, I can't even tell you what I talk about.
Yeah.
I just talk.
Right.
Sometimes it's good. Sometimes it's bad.
Yeah.
Sometimes, like I might have a few ideas that I'll write out next to the set list.
Right.
But I also write a set list and don't usually follow it either.
Right.
It's just a list of songs, the order I decide while I'm up there.
Yeah.
But so I do like small crowds, like a 50, 60 people.
That's really interesting that you break it down like that because I understand it completely, the capacities of each one. Like if Kendrick Lamar were to do a 50-person show, he doesn't have to have all the fire and samurai swords and stuff. But if you have a fucking stadium of people, like the stakes are way higher.
You need to entertain them.
Yeah. The expectations are way, way higher. You know, you have 50,000 expectations versus 50.
Yeah.
So that's pretty interesting that you break it down like that. Not that you're not a true professional, but like you would have to be a true professional like Kendrick, you know, to where you know the beat so well.
Yeah. And you have everything planned out, and you have to have a crew you depend on to make sure everything happens.
Right.
Because you're on stage and you can't control anything while you're up there.
That's kind of freaky.
So it's like, okay, it's my show, but here are the reins.
95% of it, you know.
Yeah.
I'll sing and I'll rap and everything, but you make sure you push the play button.
Exactly.
Make sure you push the fire button, you know, when it's supposed to come on.
And he had a live band, but it was off the stage.
Oh, wow.
Like it was next to the stage, and I
Right.
was fourth row, so I mean, like I could see the band,
Right.
which was cool because I enjoyed watching the bass player and the drummer and stuff.
Yeah.
But it would have taken away from his show he had, his idea, his show that he had built up on stage.
And so, I mean, you love the small venues. You would do something big like
Absolutely.
that, but it just takes more. It just takes more energy, I guess.
Yeah, it would. I would have to be very prepared.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah. But it's kind of fun just to go up there and just like, wow, how's this gonna go?
Right? I like that. You know.
Have you ever like had a bad show?
Oh,
like,
yeah, lots of
booing
times,
or
lots of
like
times.
hecklers or anything like that.
Yeah, I mean, there's an asshole in every crowd. You know? I mean, you learn how to deal with them.
Like what? Do you sass them back? Do you say,
Sometimes.
kick your ass, bitch?
No, I mean sometimes.
Can't really do that.
Usually, just make a joke and get the bar laughing. And,
Right.
You know, you kind of turn it back around on them. You know, but I don't try to start a fight with them. Like if they're being an asshole, they're just an asshole.
Right.
You
feel
know,
like
if you're like continue booing like to where it's affecting my music.
Yeah.
Yes, I think I've walked off stage once.
Oh wow.
You know, but I've been playing music for a long time too.
Yeah.
And it was a sound man at that time.
Oh wow.
I was playing in a bar I'd never played at, and he kept just messing with the effects and not knowing my song and just twiddling buttons is what we call it.
Right.
He was a button turner. He couldn't leave anything alone.
The whole every song.
Because when I say okay, leave it like that.
Right.
That's where I like it.
Show's going.
Exactly. You don't have to do anything else. You don't know my songs, so don't add effects to my voice.
Right.
Like, don't add a delay to my voice when you don't know my song.
What the hell?
Yeah, it was at Buffalo Run, actually.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Yeah, it was the only time.
That's actually a pretty good venue, wouldn't it? be?
Yeah. Yeah.
But they fucked with your voice.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure the dude is great at his job. You
Right.
know, he was working at a, nice place, but
Yeah.
I was not having it that night,
You just left. You're just like,
yeah,
thank you for coming out. I'm out of
Just
here.
walked off. I didn't say anything.
got
I
your-
walked out and told the crowd to come with me.
Oh, nice.
Well, it was, all the people that came to see me.
Right.
So I went over to Boomers, the little bar that holds 30 people, and
Played?
set up a show and played.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, I was like, hey, you got a band tonight? And they were like, no. And I was like, well, I just walked off Buffalo Run stage, so I'm going to play here. I brought all these people.
Where's Boomers? Is that in Miami?
Miami.
Okay.
It's right as you get past the turnpike.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you guys just got in the cars and it's like, meet at Boomers.
Yep.
Nice. That's fucking great, dude.
Yeah.
That's definitely Levi-ish. That's something Vi would do. The biggest venue in the area. One of the biggest, and you're like, no, I'm going to Boomers.
Right? I'm going to the small bar.
Yeah. Very Vi-ish.
Well,
That's good shit, man.
it's the only time I've ever walked off stage.
Just because he was fucking with your
It
voice.
just was affecting my performance.
Right.
It was
It wasn't your show
messing.
anymore.
It was messing up it was messing me up is what it was doing.
Right.
Like I was missing chords. Like it wasn't sounding right.
Right.
Like my voice would be still echoing over my voice when I'd start another line.
Huh.
It wasn't the vibe I wanted.
No, and you can't do a show like that.
Yeah, and and it was just very, very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And I, told them at least 3 times.
Yeah. At least 3.
At least 3.
Yeah, that sucks, dude. But I mean, Buffalo Run's
That's very rare. It's very rare. that
one
something like
time,
that
and you've been
happens,
playing
yeah.
for 20 plus years or whatever
Yeah.
you said. So that's good. That's only been one time. But there's just crowds are unpredictable. I mean, comedians and musicians and anyone. I guess plays seem to be a little bit more controlled. Maybe just because
a little
no
more
one's,
respect in the theater.
Yeah, no, but no one's improvising really. They're not. It's like you. Well,
Sometimes you are.
Yeah, sometimes you are. I guess you're just reading the lines of somebody else.
Especially if someone forgets their line.
Yeah.
Because I did theater in high school.
Yeah.
You know, like I went to nationals in high school for theater. So I've been on stage for a long time.
That's the actor's nightmare.
Yeah. Like you
forget the line.
You're like, aren't you wondering what time it is?
Is that what you would say?
Yeah, like if they're supposed to ask me what time it is.
Oh,
yeah. In high school when I was 16, 17 years old. Yeah, that would probably have been the best thing.
Right.
I would have came up with like, yes, aren't you wondering what time it is?
Right.
Or like you're trying to give them a cue to give them their line.
Right. They're like,
because your line depends on that.
Right. The whole play depends on it,
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah. That's why I like improv, just because if it does go to shit, like it's never really in shit. It never really goes to shit. Like, cause you can just improv your way out.
Because it's all shit.
There's there's no roadmap.
Yeah, I liked improv. I did it at some tournaments. And
Man,
like
so much fun. So good for your mind. Like, if I could recommend one thing, do some cardio, but do some improv, just for the spontaneity of the new choice. You played that game at work sometimes, like new choice, like just the neurons that need to fire in order to change the entire subject of a scene is it's just so crucial. And people, when we did it in California, they would talk about how it would help you in not only conversation, but job applicants, stuff like, job applications or job interviews are basically improv. Like,
yes. Tell
me a story about what would you do in this situation? You're like, fuck, I don't know,
Right?
I guess I would do this, But, you got to formulate the answer to basically what they want to hear, So it would help on all those fronts. And I don't know. It's just, I think it's really, really healthy for someone's mind. And you laugh your ass off. And
it was one of my favorite in oral interpretation class or drama class in high school. We'd play freeze.
Oh, yeah, where you take over the scene.
Yeah, you start an improv scene and then you just randomly yell freeze and walk in, tag one of them out and start it something else.
Right.
So that's fun. I feel like that's that small crowd.
Yeah.
What you can do.
That's true.
It's improving. It's
right. The small crowds with improv are much, intimate's the word, but like if there's like 20 people, you can literally pick someone out and probably the crowd knows that person because there's only like 20 people in there. They're all buddies, or at least they're aware of each other. And then because they're wearing a Trump shirt or something, you can play off that, and and then the crowd really likes that. I always found that at least in improv, crowds like to be included to a certain point. They want to be the guy in the purple shirt. He's going to be on stage, and now he's included. We make fun of him, but not too much, not to decimate
not too
his
much.
soul.
You're not an insult comic.
No, this is not a burning. What do they call that? A roast. Yeah, right. This isn't a roast. That if it is a roast, it's well announced. Everyone knows. Like, hey, we're about to go ham on this person. Yeah. But people always like to be included a little.
People
bit.
like to feel important.
Yeah, and it was cool, and it was cool to like. People provide most of your material in improv.
Yeah.
When you go, what's your name? Levi. What do you do? I'm a musician. What's your favorite song? And then boom, you have all this material that you're just like, how am I going to rearrange this in a funny way or in a clever way, I guess. Improv improv didn't start out as funny. It was dramatic. And then it moved into being funny to where it's like spontaneous and surprising. Like when you play the freeze game,
Yeah.
I've seen some great freezes to where like, I would have never taken it in that direction, but that is fucking hilarious.
Especially if you get them in like a precarious position.
Exactly.
Yeah. Like they're just leaning right.
Yeah.
And then you freeze it.
Right. And in the freeze game, you kind of want to be a little bit more dramatic.
Yeah.
Kind of give some leeway to the
theater's big.
Yeah, exactly.
Theater's big.
Yeah.
Television and like cinema is small in truth.
Right.
If you're lying, the camera will see it.
Right.
The camera will see it if you're lying, but if you're lying on stage, you do lie on stage.
And
you're bigger than life.
Mm-hmm.
You're overacting.
Think of like a close-up,
Just right in your face. Now do this monologue.
Yeah, and what's weird is that the camera's here, you do the monologue, but in the theater, the people are literally like right here to Levi giving this monologue.
Yeah,
like in the theater, it's just that person way down there. The voice takes time to get to your ears and everything, so there's this distance. But in the theater of cinema, or even on Netflix or something, like I've never got that close to you, I don't think.
Right?
But there's a whole theater of 400 people, and they're this close to you. You know,
Mm-hmm.
they're either gonna kiss you or headbutt you, you know, or something. Like, I don't know if the human mind is ready for that sort of stuff. But I mean, it's getting shoved in our throats.
It's like watching 4K.
Yeah.
All I can do is stare at the older actors and actresses' necks
Just
because it just looks odd. Like I was watching Blade Runner, and all I could do was stare at Harrison Ford's neck.
the vagina neck.
Yeah, it's like a leather baseball glove.
Yeah. And it's only going to get worse.
Right?
Because we're going to have the VR soon, and it'll just be like, oh my God, Harrison Ford, you know?
Yeah.
Or soon, you know.
It's like watching something at 120,
Yes.
frames per second.
The Hobbit.
You know, it looks odd.
The Hobbit got me.
Yeah.
It was 120 frames a second, 8K, or at least 4K, 6K, somewhere in there, high up. And there was something else in there, 3D. And it looked like a BBC thing, like a TV show, where I was like disgusted, like this doesn't look cinematic.
Yeah.
But every once in a while, my brain would get so sucked in. It was like I was in
reality.
Yeah. It was the craziest, most in-depth movie I've ever been in. And then I kind of pull myself out and be like, what the fuck was that?
Yeah.
But I mean, it was enjoyable and it wasn't enjoyable. And it was just a really cool up and down experience.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to watch every movie in 120, but I like where it was going, you know. People always say like virtual reality and video games are going to be the future, and I kind of believe that in a way. But the one thing I can't get past is that they take a lot of energy to play. Like a VR headset takes a lot of energy to strap on your head, and
right.
like I know that's not very much energy, but like
that's more energy than somebody who plays an Xbox wants to do.
Exactly. Or someone that, you know, if you go, oh, I just want to go home and watch, I want to watch Mr. Robot. Like, you are engaging in a story where you don't have to move. You're not engaging in a lot of energy. Like, you probably expended a bunch of energy at a job, or you went working out, or played with friends or something, but now you want to relax and rest, but your mind still wants to engage in something. So that's why I don't think VR and video games will completely take over unless we make the Matrix, and then you can just lay back and
Don't even start with that Matrix shit.
If we do.
Like we can talk a whole podcast just about that.
I was just thinking about it today, dude. We live in the fucking Matrix already. Right? So you know, like when Trinity's like, I need to know how to fly a helicopter. Thank you. You know, we live in like version 1 of that. I hope you got
his eyes on that, because his eyes were fucking perfect. Your eyes were fucking perfect. They fucking wiggled just the right way.
I know how to fly a helicopter now.
Yeah.
I just got it downloaded. But we live in that. We live in the Matrix version 1, because like I was watching Courtney's Snapchat story today, and her friend was sitting in front of a sewing machine with a phone, and it said watching sewing machine videos on YouTube. That's step 1. Like you said earlier, whatever you want to know, whatever skill you want to learn, it's right there. They just, in the Matrix, they did it cooler and it's a lot faster.
How do I change my alternator?
Yeah.
Hey, look, it's all right there.
And if you don't like this video, try this video.
Right? Here's 4 different versions.
Yeah. Here's one in Spanish. Here's one in French. You know, here's one for BMWs. Here's one for diesels. You know, it's like crazy. But yeah, I was thinking.
Remember, everyone used to have a book for their vehicle.
Yeah.
Like you would have to go to AutoZone and buy a book or like a map. You know, a road. And think about how unreliable like big road atlases were because of like construction and things like that, you know?
Right.
Like you would never know. You know, you could roll up and get stuck for 3 hours waiting on some shit
because the
map's in the middle of Birmingham.
Yeah.
You know,
that happened to you?
No. I'm just, you know.
Sounded very, very personal. Yeah, and the same with you know, looking for some place to eat or something. You look at the map and it's like there's a Hardee's down on 4th. The Hardee's haven't been there for fucking 5 years. You know, it's been closed down or something like that. You know, but now you get updates every day.
You know, the schedule is different of when it's open.
Yeah, right. Or they went across town. There is a Hardee's in this place, but it's fucking on South Side Street or whatever.
Right. And then I bet that happens with Joplin a lot.
Yeah,
because of the tornado.
Oh yeah,
because I mean half our city got destroyed.
Yeah, right in the middle, like our main
mile wide.
Yeah,
mile wide strip. You know,
from what Main Street to Rangeline and onward. You know, 2 of our most used and populated areas.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm sure that, you know, like I think that sometimes like, well, there's this there. I'm like, no, there's not. There's nothing there.
Yeah, right. Not anymore.
You know?
They bounced back pretty good. Quickly, and
it made me believe in small towns.
Yeah.
A little more at that moment in life, you know.
Yeah.
Because like I had never met any of my neighbors,
Hmm.
but immediately we were out meeting each other.
Right.
Within 2 days, I knew where the basements were on the block.
Oh wow.
You know, because we all didn't have any electricity or anything like that, so all the food was going to go bad.
Hmm.
So what I did was I just put the barbecue grill in the front yard and cooked everything we had.
Oh wow.
And mixed up Kool-Aid and vodka and just had a sleeve of cups and
Just-
just pass it out to the neighbors. I went to work because I was managing a restaurant at the time.
Mm-hmm.
They were going to lose all their shit too.
Oh okay.
So like I would just make like gallons of soup because I had a gas stove. You know, so I'd take it from work, take it home, heat it up in a big pot, and then just go deliver it to all the neighbors that I could, you know.
Right.
Just like, hey, here's some, something to eat.
Yeah. Warm and tasty, you know. Right. How many days was electricity out? How many weeks?
Well, I mean, it was a while.
Yeah. It was certainly in some
in
areas,
some parts, you know.
It was really bad.
Then, you know, in a lot of the parts, it wasn't just no electricity. It was nothing.
Yeah.
Like, I got lost driving around one of my hometowns because there were nothing to...
No reference
points. No reference points, exactly.
Yeah.
They ended up having to spray paint the street names on the concrete.
That's insane, dude.
Yeah. You
That's
couldn't,
insane.
go out past a certain time.
Mm-hmm. Aubrey was talking about that last night. He was saying he says that Joplin has a curfew now. Is that
No.
true? Okay, so he had this little sparkle in his eye. So I didn't believe him, but I looked it up. But then, lo and behold, I came across some old blogs from Joplin about curfews, and it was all about the tornado.
Yeah.
So like they were saying, it was actually pretty early. It was like 9 p.m. was the cutoff for.
Yeah. It was early.
But I mean, it's pitch black at 9 p.m. even in the summertime. And if you don't have any street lights and you don't have any house light.
Yeah, and lots of people were, looting and things like that.
Yeah, right. Well, and there was a lot of deaths from just sanitation and
They were still trying to
infection.
find people, you know?
Yeah, right. It was nobody knew what the hell was going on for a while. It was chaos.
I didn't know how bad it was till the next day,
Oh wow.
till the sun came up.
27th. It happened on the 26th,
22nd.
22nd. So the 23rd, the morning of the 23rd, you was
Like, I got up and I drove to work.
Mm.
And the drive to work
right.
was, looked like a storm. Looked
Right.
like some trees down, power lines down here and there.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't realize the severity
Mm.
because you had no cell phone service, no TV, no
Right.
electricity.
Right.
I had booze and,
The essentials.
the essentials.
But you weren't flipping through.
But yeah, exactly. So I
Facebook
drove to
and-
work the next morning like I was going to go to work like any other day.
Yeah.
And like I got there and my boss was just staring at me like, "What are you doing here?" I was like, "What are you talking about?" I mean, it blew out a window at our house, ripped up a tree in the front yard.
Right.
And he was like, "No, Levi, it's bad. It's worse than you think." And so I took a longer swoop on the way back to my house.
Right.
And that's when I realized the severity of the situation.
You realized how powerful this thing was.
Yeah. Because, I mean, there was no way to even know about it.
Mm-hmm.
I remember I got a message through to my mom that said, "I'm all right."
Good.
But that was it.
Right.
That's the only thing I could think of immediately when it happened.
Right.
Because I was sitting on the back porch because in Missouri, when you have a storm,
Yep.
you go and watch it.
Yeah.
I was smoking a joint, drinking a beer on the back porch,
Yeah.
looking up at the sky. And, like, my girlfriend shows up. We go through the back door, and as I'm coming through the house, I hear a train.
No shit.
And I was like, "There's no fucking train around here." Open the front door, and I just see 2x4s and shingles in the sky. And so I grabbed the cat, and I grabbed my girlfriend, threw the cat in the bottom of the tub, threw her on top of the cat, threw myself on top of her. And I was like, "If we go, I'm going first." I was like, "Save the cat."
That's intense, dude.
It was nuts.
That could be the final moments of.
Yeah.
of
I didn't know. I just knew shit was going down.
Oh, if you saw
It sounded like a train. Like the howl of a train through the house. Like just me walking through the house. I could hear it like a train was next to me. And I was like, that's weird.
Yeah. They say that's what it sounds like.
Yeah, it does.
A freight train of some sort.
And most of the people that I know that had their house completely destroyed and, the ones that survived were in the bathroom where they tell you to go.
Wow.
Like the whole house would be gone except for the walls in the bathroom.
Because it's more internal.
I guess. I don't know, but it's for real. You know?
That's crazy, dude. I'm glad you're all right.
Yeah. Yeah.
It changed a lot of people's lives.
Yeah,
I mean, even if you weren't in the storm, like I live over on the Kansas side, but I was associated with it, and people that I know, you know, were a part of the whole thing. So it affected a lot of people, especially in a small town.
But like you said, we bounced back.
Big time, really quickly.
We come back hard.
Yeah, really quickly. The town swelled up with a lot of like traveling construction people. A lot of new businesses were built, beautiful new homes, you know. And, you know, there's a sign coming in on 7th Street from Kansas that says Joplin, population 49,000, such and such. I think that's bullshit. Right. You need to update that. It's like 77,000 or something. Like it swelled and it never went back. You know, it never like went down.
What was the crew that, or the TV show that used to be on?
Oh, the house.
Yeah, the house building one.
I don't remember what
it was. Ty something.
Yeah, the host.
Yeah, well, they, you know, were there to build like a whole street of houses in a week. And they, so they came to my restaurant every night to eat.
Nice.
And stuff, so... That was interesting.
You were at
Kitchen Pass.
Okay.
They went to Wilder's, which is right next to it.
Okay.
But like, and they had like their big party at the end in our banquet room.
Oh, cool.
With like their, man, I can't believe I can't remember the name of that. Everybody's mom loved that show.
There's so many of them out there.
I just remember the host playing acoustic guitar.
Oh, cool.
And not being plugged in on stage. And I was just like, look at that guy up there.
Just getting after it.
I was like, he's getting after it, and he's not even plugged in.
He doesn't care.
Like, I'm looking at the PA right now. There's no noise coming out of that guitar.
Does he want to be plugged in?
I don't think so. I think the rest of the band didn't want him to be plugged in. Right. But he was like the host of the show.
Right. Was he nice?
He was nice, yeah.
Nice guy.
He was nice.
You always hope they're nice, you know, when you come across a douchebag.
Yeah.
I hate it. That's why I never met Johnny Knoxville. I was behind him on the street one time. Like I was in the coffee shop and I was actually looking at his girlfriend's leggings. That's how it started. And I was like, they're all torn up. I was like, that looks cool. And then I kind of looked at him and I heard him laugh. And my brain was like going through folders like, we know that laugh. We know that laugh. We know that laugh. And all of a sudden I'm like, fuck, that's Johnny Knoxville. So I followed him out the door of this coffee shop and we're crossing the street in Hollywood. I'm like, do I say something? Like, all I was going to say is like, hey, Johnny, what's up? You know, like, you heard it in my voice now.
Yeah,
like,
you heard it.
Hi, what's up? But I just, my imagination was like, he turns around and goes, fuck you, kid. And I mean, I would have been sniped in the heart and I wouldn't have been able to handle it. So I was like, I'll just go back to the coffee shop.
I'll introduce you to Preston sometime.
He seems nice, though.
He's super nice.
Yeah, I'm sure Johnny would have never done that. But just at the time, as a young boy, I was just like, I can't. That's one of my heroes. And if he tells me to fuck off, I don't think I can handle it, you know? I'll just keep him how he is.
See, I have the opposite. I always wanted to meet Lou Reed and get punched by him.
Is that what he did,
just
though?
Like, hey, asshole.
That's what he did, though, doesn't he?
He just, seemed like that type of New Yorker,
Get away from me.
Like, I really fucking love your music. He's like, fuck you.
Yeah.
Walk in here.
You're like, thank you.
Exactly. You see this black eye? Lou Reed gave me this black eye.
When we met Joey Rogan, we went to his show. Casey and I went to his show for Casey's birthday. But when we met him, man, he was cool as shit, and we were both stoned out of our gourds. Right. I'm sure he was too, but he was like way cool, like very open, and I think I said great set tonight, and Casey said love the podcast, and he was like, thanks brothers, thanks. And we put our arms around each other, and he made a couple of jokes about us, but then he like furiously shook our hand and was like, thanks for coming out, and like, dude, just I don't know, maybe that's why I like him so much, just because of that one interaction. I was like, man, you were cool.
Right.
So
I love people like that when you meet people and they're like that.
Yeah.
Like I met S.A. Martinez from 311 one time.
Oh, nice.
And I was like, man, how many times do you think you wrote your name today? And he goes, not enough.
Oh, man.
And I was just like, God, I love you.
Well, I know.
I have loved you since like 5th grade.
Right.
You know?
It's such a responsibility that celebrities have, that a lot of them don't keep up with. I remember a story one time about Johnny Depp, and this girl said that he was in line signing and taking photos and all this kind of crap for hours. And then, finally his bodyguards were like, hey, come on, let's go. Let's get out of here. And as he's leaving, this girl that wrote this post or whatever, like, caught him and goes, would you sign this? And like, do you have time to sign this? And he just goes, I got all the time in the world for you. And it's like that one line to that one person, like, and then she writes a story about it.
Yeah,
and,
she'll remember it for the rest of her life.
And then all those people that read the story and are like, damn, he's a cool dude. And yeah, maybe kicks hotel rooms up.
Yeah, he's got some problems right now.
Everyone probably does. We're all human. But I just think it's so interesting that people of celebrity or the people that are in the public eye have such a responsibility to their fans, or at least just to people in general. You know, you don't even have to be a fan. Like if say my mom bumped into Joe Rogan and he was like, fuck you, bitch, you know,
right?
Like, that's terrible. But he would just be, you know, kind and, oh, I'm so sorry, you know. And I mean, I don't know. It's just I think all people actually probably have that responsibility to be kind to humans, but more so to celebrities because, you know, people think they know you.
Yeah, and you're in the spotlight too.
Mm-hmm.
So everything you do, all your good days and all your bad days,
yeah,
are there for everyone to see.
And they're exemplified 100 times, right? Because of the media.
And you can say something and it can get twisted completely.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
right? It's easier today. I think it's easier today to get away from that because there's just so much that comes out. It's like, have you heard about the sexual, not aggression, but what's it called? Sexual harassment. For a while. No, it just boom came up as a big deal, and now whatever gun violence is what's going on right now.
That's what Facebook tells me.
Exactly. I don't even get on Facebook. I haven't gone on this whole week because it's all yay guns or no guns. It's like, oh, whatever, who cares? I don't know. But yeah, I think it's easier for people to get away from that, from bad press or even good press. It's like because there's so much information that no one can keep up. No one remembers, you know.
And it just blows me away sometimes what the media deems important.
Yeah.
Like,
it's sad.
I know.
It's a gossip show.
I stopped after the election. I stopped watching mainstream news.
2017.
I stopped watching the mainstream news on TV.
Yeah.
So now I get all my news through BBC, NPR.
TVs or Twitter or
radio.
Radio. Okay.
Radio.
Nice.
And it's just as biased as everything else, but it gives me more of a documentary look at it where it gives me both sides of the situation.
Right.
And it doesn't even sound as judgy as we do, or as mainstream media in America does. Plus just like a British accent telling me the news. You know?
Yeah. Your IQ goes up by 12 points or so.
Right. It at least classes the car up while I'm in there.
Yeah. Good evening. Yeah.
Good evening, and this is BBC News.
It's and you're like, yes.
It is
top of the hour. Straighter. You're like, oh, good.
Exactly.
I mean, mainstream news, they have to compete with corporations, we have 10 minutes, we have 12 minutes, and then we have Pfizer commercials for their new drug, you got to cram that in there. With a podcast or a news station like what you're listening to, it's just uninterrupted for 45 minutes.
Yeah.
And they're going to talk about things that maybe a news station wouldn't talk about, like a CNN, because it's too gory or it's too provocative.
Or anything like that.
Exactly.
All these things that are going on in other countries that are atrocious.
Yeah.
Just atrocities of humanity.
Right.
That most Americans don't even know about.
Right. Or some deep, dark political scandal that is going to change some laws, that changes trade directions that they don't cover because they don't want you to know about, because you actually have a vote coming up in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, like the European Union and things like that, and countries leaving it.
Yeah, exactly. They just totally bypass it. You don't need to know about that. But someone like the BBC or NPR or whoever, they'll go so deep into it and say, look, these are the implications. These are the pros. These are the cons. We're not going to take too much of a stance of whether we like it or not, but here's the facts, and here's all the facts, or at least a lot of them. So that's good that you spread yourself out like that.
Try to, and I just can't stand looking at them.
No,
I can't.
The talking heads,
Yeah.
They suck. Well, buddy.
Have we come to an end?
2 hours.
2 hours.
8 minutes.
Jesus.
And all yoga is coming up. I know. I wish we would have got started a little bit earlier, but I accidentally hit the update button on the Mac, and Levi's like, do I have time to smoke? And the computer said 45 minutes remaining. So we had to break out
As
the
you
laptop.
see, we gave up on it and
Yeah.
just brought the laptop out.
Yeah.
Then had to install drivers.
Yeah, exactly. So, but it was a good long conversation, and I really enjoyed it, dude.
Yeah, man, me too.
Fascinating, dude. I liked your observations, especially the artistic, musical, and writing and all that kind of stuff. Like, you've been doing it for so long. I like to see how you think about it and how you perform those sorts of things. Because I'm not brave enough to get on stage and strum a guitar like you. So it's cool, like, sit back and be like, how is it up there? So that's cool, man.
All right. Well, thanks for having me on, brother.
Absolutely. Let's do it again soon. Do you have any upcoming shows that you want to plug or merchandise?
I do not have any upcoming shows right now.
Buy his hooligan hat.
Yeah, buy the hooligan hat.
And he's got a T-shirt called Create. Is it Create?
Yeah.
Create T-shirt?
Create T-shirt, the hooligan hats. You can come to any of my shows when they happen, But as you get older, you get a real job and you get to be in bars less.
Yeah.
You can't spend 4 nights a week playing music in a bar to make a percentage of what you will.
Yeah, right. But when you do play, it's usually somewhere in Joplin, Blackthorn, or Whiskey Dick's or something like that, somewhere along that strip. So if you're in Joplin and you want to come out, you can do it every 4 or 5 months, right?
4 months usually.
Yeah. You get a good show. And then the last one you opened up for like a cool little indie band thing.
Yeah.
So that was cool. There was a lot of people there.
Yeah, it was the Voodoo Glow Skulls.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Voodoo Doll Skulls?
Voodoo Glow Skulls.
Voodoo Glow Skulls.
Yeah.
They were fucking cool.
Yeah, they were really cool. It was great horn section. I've been listening to them for a long time. It was really cool to get to be one of the opening acts for, especially with the acoustic music I do.
Yeah.
To be thrown in there with like a psychobilly band and like a ska band.
Right.
But it all worked.
Yeah. The crowd was cool. Band was cool. I had a good time that night.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. Good deal. All righty, man. Well, thanks for coming on.
All right. Thanks, brother.
I appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed listening to this podcast. Let's see. I don't really know. Oh, Corey's supposed to come on soon, but he's really busy in the kitchen. Corey Real.
Oh, corn dog.
Yeah, he was supposed to come on last week, but he got called in. But yep, I got some good guests coming on. We'll keep pumping these out in the year of 2018. If there's anyone you want to see come on or hear talk about, please let me know. Go to the Facebook, go to the Twitter. Most of you guys have my number. Just text me. It's all good. So I hope you enjoyed today's episode, and we'll see you next time. Peace.